In Clarksville, TDOT reporting a crash 24 northbound at the Sango Road overpass. Near Belmont, got a crash. PD reporting, Metro PD reporting 440 eastbound at Hillsborough Pike, 21st Avenue, exit 3. In Woodbine, TDOT says there's a crash, partially blocking the off-ramp, 24 westbound to I-440. Then we've got 40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane in Nashville. Metro Police say there's a crash there. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
Hello, kids. Buckle up. It's going to be a bumpy ride for the next 4 hours. At least I hope so. I want to bust some skulls. That's the mood I am today. I do. I really do. It's 7 minutes after 3 o'clock. Good afternoon. Welcome in the Matt Murphy Radio Show on Super Talk 99.7 WT. And I'm in a mood, and you're warned. It is Wednesday, May 21, 2025. It is episode 814 of our gatherings together today. And I hope that it's a good one. I hope you're able to spend every single moment with us, whether it's on Talk Television. More on that in a moment. You can also find us on 99.7 FM. That is your radio dial. Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, those are apps where you can find us. Any application that streams music or information, news, or programs like this one, we appreciate you. And you can also find us on the aforementioned Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Sorry, I'm just adjusting a few. There we go. That's much better. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, as he says, and we would love to. We'd love to hear from you as well. 615-737-9986. If you'd like to be a part of the show, that's the way to do it. 615-737-9986. You can either join us on the phones or you can join us on the super text line as soon as I get it up and running. There's Chris Weber. He's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as humanly possible. Hello, Mr. Weber.
Good afternoon.
How's it going with you?
Better than you, I guess.
I suppose so. I'm in a. It's been a mood.
I can tell.
Weird. How was the podcast? Was it okay?
Yeah.
We cut a brand new podcast dropping later on tonight. All the best words with Matt Murphy and Cameron Smith. It was good because I don't remember it.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't really paying attention, so. But you know.
So it was good for both of us. Then.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I heard nary a word that was out of place. There's Ken Weaver. He's back in the newsroom. Hello, Ken.
What's going on, boys?
My teeth hurt, Ken.
Yeah, that's what you said, man.
Yeah, my teeth hurt.
That's what you get for eating all that sugary candy.
I suppose so. You know, I remembered today, and by the way, Dr. Greaves doesn't do any advertising with us. I wish he did. I think we'd fill him up. He's already full up. But Dr. Greaves is a great guy. If you know him over there, he used to be formerly Sullins and Greaves, but his father-in-law retired, and now it's just Dr. Greaves up there in Hendersonville. What a great job they do up there. And Brooke did a fabulous job. I want to say Brooke was a delight. And I want to thank Brooke for everything that she did for me today, for my long-term oral health. Now, let me tell you about this little Joseph Mingala lady.
Did she have a drill?
She did.
Ooh.
She did. Oh, yeah. She had a drill. And, I had, it's not that. It wasn't that. It was, they used this, the water, they call it a water pick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And they're big
it's
on
like
the water.
Jet.
But it's like a jet, and it hurts. So I went to have my, is it biannual? Every 6 months is biannual, right?
I think so, yeah.
That's twice a year. All right, so I went to have my biannual cleaning a couple of months ago, and she said, well, your levels on your back teeth are up to a 7, and we really need to address that. Now, Chris Weber, do you understand what that means?
No clue. I was getting ready to ask. I had no idea.
Weaver, you know what that means when they tell you your levels on your back teeth are up to a 7? And we really need to address that.
Well, they say stuff like that, but I don't know what it means.
I don't either. I don't know what it means. But apparently what it means is that that if your gums will recede if there's too much calculus on your teeth, calculus being build up.
That's that math class I failed in high school.
There's math on your teeth, and that's a problem. And so they have to get that off of there because you can't have your gums receding.
Yeah, that's not good.
No, because that could cause gum disease.
And
And
you
I
don't want that.
I used to know the name for that, and I don't anymore. I looked it up after Brooke told me this several months ago. Periodontal disease. I think that
sounds right.
That might be right. That's a fancy word.
Gingivitis.
Well, that's a good one, too.
Yeah.
Halitosis. That's another one.
Halitosis.
Remember that commercial? This is how the day's going to go today, by the way, everybody. I'm a little bit out of it because of the medication that they gave me to do this deep clean. So I just kind of go there. I'm like a kitten chasing butterflies. Hey. But don't make me laugh, Weaver. I'm not gonna be fun today, though. I'm gonna yell at people.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. So she informed me that we really need to get those the back teeth. We're gonna clean the front teeth, but we really need to do a deep clean on the back teeth. And I remembered at the time this happened about 15 years ago in Birmingham. They said the same thing, and I don't think it's through any fault of my own. I think that that there's some genetic issues going on.
Yeah, could be.
But probably there's some fault. I mean, I don't floss like I'm supposed to. I don't think anybody flosses. I mean,
boy.
You floss twice a day?
Twice a day?
Yeah.
Good grief, no.
No, sir.
Three times. I floss 3 times a week.
See, you don't floss the way you're supposed to.
I do it once a day.
Once a
times a
day.
week, I mean.
Well, there's Ken Weaver. Outstanding in his field.
I have a gold star by my name at the dentist office.
Good for you. I bet you've never been told that you have a 7 on your gum lines.
I don't recall anything like that.
No, you don't get told that if you floss every day.
I do notice a change in their facial expression whenever they get to my skull pocket.
Your skull pocket?
Yeah. Yeah, I can
in the lip?
Yeah, I can put my tongue all the way down to the bottom of my chin.
What?
Whew.
Yeah.
You have what?
Yeah.
How long we known each other, Weaver? You're just getting this information? This is valuable info.
Yeah, I used to dip long cut. I loved it. Oh, I loved it.
I bet you did.
And it left me a big old pocket on the left side of my bottom teeth.
Well, I don't eat that, but you still get gold stars at the dentist.
Well, that's because I floss once a day.
Yeah, that's true. See, there was a time that I would lie about it, and then I realized that they know, and so now I was like, no. I mean, I said, look, you're gonna get me. You're gonna get 3-4 times a week, and I use those little forks. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, that's what I
love
use
the
too.
forks.
Yeah.
But you're gonna get 3-4 times a week out of me because most of the time I'm late. It's not that I don't value my teeth. I'm late. And I got to go, and so you're getting the 2 minutes of brushing. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder. That's what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to sing.
I don't know. I don't sing.
I think you're supposed to at least get through all of Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star in your head while brushing.
Is there more to that song than that?
No, there's Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, how I wonder what you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. All my teeth are nice and shiny.
But that was like 30 seconds, though.
I might be singing the wrong song.
Murphy's stoned. You're as high as a kite, man.
I think I am. So I told her, no, I'm not doing this damn deep clean because they did it 15 years ago, and that lady almost ruined me. And I promised myself walking out of that dental office that I would never do it again because it hurt. And she said, no, we've got a numbing agent now, which they do, which is nice. So they numb you down and they get you nice and high. And I don't really think they got me high. I just feel that way.
Yeah, it just deadens the pain. But it makes you a little loopy, though.
Hey, 4800 says, if you're not true to your teeth, they'll be false to you.
That was terrible.
I know. I just want to go home. As punishment for what 4800 has done, I just want to pack up, go home. You listen to nothing for the next 4 hours, and you blame 4800. Tammy says, Matt, you have no excuse about not flossing daily. You can floss in the evening before bedtime. Thank you, Karen. I mean, Tammy.
There he goes, boy. Murphy's, he's fit to be tied today, man. He's loaded for bear.
I haven't even hit a break yet.
You can tell.
I mean, what? I mean, just whatever. I'm a grown-ass man. Don't tell me how to floss my teeth.
Now,
I
Matt,
am
that's
willing
why
to-
you don't have a gold star at the dentist
Well,
office.
that's true.
Well, that's true.
That's true. You know what? They don't like you very much if you say that at the dentist office. I'm a grown-ass man. Don't tell me how to floss. Sir, could you please calm down?
This is the waiting room.
This is the way. Also, none of these people know you. You need to back up. Oh, but anyway, it's good. They just, they just lift the gum and get up from underneath there, and it's the and it. I was smart enough this time around. They did the numbing, and the numbing worked. Brooke was great. They did, but it's the scraping.
Mm-hmm.
So I have this thing. We all have these things that we can't handle. And I'm not talking about things you just don't like. I don't like it when nails go across a chalkboard, but I could sit there and listen to you do it all day.
Right.
If you scrape your teeth with a fork, I have to get up and leave. I've had to tell people at a dinner table, if you encounter people that just naturally do it, I've said this to someone before.
Why would someone do that intentionally?
Well, I don't think they knew they were doing it.
Oh.
And I said, I am very sorry. But this is an awkward conversation. I said, I'm very sorry, but you're scraping your teeth on your fork. Would you mind not doing that?
Mm-hmm.
And they thought it was funny, and they did it again.
Of course.
And I said, listen, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but because it's one of those things where I can't handle it. And I was like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but if you keep doing that, I have to leave. And they did it one more time, and I left.
Yep.
It's just I can't handle it. So imagine being in the dentist office. That's all you hear in the dentist office.
Oh, yeah. And then they're doing it to you.
And they're doing it to me, and it's inside of my head, so you can't really get it out of your head. So, but the earbuds work. I mean, they kind of mitigate it. You can focus on the music.
They give you earbuds? Or you brought your own?
No, I brought my own.
Oh, okay.
I brought my own.
I never thought about doing that.
Oh yeah. You play them, at a certain level where I'm kind of drowning out the rest of the stuff, but I can still hear her when she tells me that I need to, clamp down on that little hosey thing.
Yep.
Or open wider. And Brooke was nice enough to say, no, turn those up as loud as you want. But she used her hand for those listening. This means open wider, and this means close down, okay? And this means I need to get in there and get that stuff out of there. I was like, okay, Brooke, all right.
Yeah. She's got a system down.
Oh, they did fabulous. But that's the way the show's going to go today, and I apologize for it in advance. But now, I've now been deep cleaned.
Oh,
So I don't have to deal with that again.
That's a plus.
As long as I'm flossing. And Tammy, I love you. I was just kidding. It was, it's on me. And yeah, I'm kind of high. So there you go. And that's going to make for a good opening monologue when I finally get to it. And that wasn't the opening monologue. The big, big, beautiful bill. As we speak, we are told that the House Freedom Caucus, now I don't know if this is happening now or not because I've been a bit out of pocket. But as of an hour ago, the House Freedom Caucus was set to head over to the White House to meet with Donald Trump this afternoon. Now, this is on the aftermath of Donald Trump. By the way, and once again, I'm going to be squirreled all day long today, but here's CNN talking about Trump pushes unsubstantiated claims of white genocide during a meeting with the South African president. Did he not offer video evidence of the substantiation of the claims right there in front of the guy? Did you not see that? How about stop offering editorial commentary on your stupid news channel and maybe more people would watch CNN?
Bingo.
What a bunch of garbage people. Spewing garbage to the American people, demanding that you think like them, otherwise you're not good enough as American. It's enough to make you want to puke. Unsubstantiated. White people are dying in South Africa as a result of the policy. And by the way, this isn't the first time this has happened. Do a little research on Robert Mugabe and Zimbabwe, and you'll see what has happened to white farmers in that part of the world. And I understand that there were unfortunate things that went on during colonization, and I don't care. None of these people had anything to do with that. More on that later on. So, anything to do with that. More on that later on. So, the Conservative House Freedom Caucus is demanding, as a matter of fact, that House GOP leaders delay plans to vote on Donald Trump's one big, beautiful bill this week. A group of GOP rebels joining House Speaker Mike Johnson for a meeting this afternoon in an apparent bid to hash out differences for the massive piece of legislation. As long as all things are what they were yesterday afternoon, we are expected to be joined by Congressman Tim Burchett this afternoon just after 5 o'clock to discuss this. The group of GOP leaders are attempting to speak with Donald Trump about hashing out differences. According to Andy Harris, who is the House Freedom Caucus chair, I don't think it can be done today. I mean, the runway is short today, he told reporters at a press conference. Representative Scott Perry of Pennsylvania said the group accepted the offer from the White House last night. He suggested the offer was not yet included in the broad-based bill that Republicans are hoping to pass via budget reconciliation. This offer has not been discussed publicly as of yet. The House Freedom Caucus, a source within that caucus, told Fox News that the speaker was still, quote, digesting the agreement, although lawmakers at a press conference declined to say what the deal was. There was no deal, according to one official. The White House presented the House Freedom Caucus with policy options that the administration can live with, provided they can get the votes, but they can't get the votes. A House GOP leadership aide told Fox News the White House only provided the Freedom Caucus with policy options rather than a deal. House conservatives have been pushing for a bill to include more aggressive cuts to Medicaid, amongst other things, by the way. Specifically, the expanded population who became eligible under the Affordable Care Act, a full repeal of former President Joe Biden's Inflation Reduction Act, and green energy subsidy. Allies of Johnson and other House GOP leaders have accused the GOP, quote, rebels of moving the goalposts from their initial demands of needing at least $1.5 trillion in spending cuts to offset the cost of new spending in the bill. I only wish that there were more politicians in Washington, D.C. with guts. Donald Trump can only do so much. Sadly, we do not have enough conservatives in Washington, D.C. to move the needle on our overspending practices. Sadly, there are not enough Americans that are willing to push back on the overspending of the federal government. Sadly, most Americans buy into this nonsense that we must continue to receive the freebies from the federal government as if there is not a piper to pay down the road. But there is a piper to pay. When you have, and I hate to use it continuously as an example because I think this is a pretty good guy, but when you have congressmen like David Kustoff, a self-identified conservative, coming on my radio show from the 8th Congressional District over there in Germantown in Tennessee, telling me how proud he is of getting the continuing resolution passed because it kept spending at 2024 levels, when I happen to know that the 2024 levels of spending, we overspent by right around $2 trillion last year. Little under. That doesn't cut it. That's not conservative. That's wildly liberal with our spending of our money. All right, more on this as we continue the opening monologue on this Wednesday edition. Would love to hear from you and your thoughts on it. I'm absolutely disgusted by all of these politicians in Washington, D.C., all of them. And I don't need to hear, well, you only have so many votes and you got to herd the cats and the toothpaste in the tube and pushing it back and all of that. I don't want to hear it. Balance the damn budget. 24 after the hour on Super Talk. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. A couple of questions. Do you know what you're paying for your health insurance? If you don't know, you need to know. Number two, are you getting the right health insurance for you and your family? If you don't know, you need to know. And I know who does. That is Shane Ring. and cover Nash. Shane Ring is not a call center. He is not a call center agent. He is a local guy right here in Brentwood. You can go to his office and see his operation, and it is top-notch. He's a local health insurance expert in Middle Tennessee that knows that you don't have to pay for what you don't need, and you ought not overpay for that which you do need. Shane will sit down with you and shop the entire healthcare market. So important that you understand the difference between doing that and shopping you to a particular insurance plan. Because if you shop to a particular insurance plan, the insurance company is the customer, not you. You're the commodity. Shane Ring flips that script, and he makes you the customer first, last, and always. Shane Ring can help find the right plan for you. He can help make sure that it is the lowest cost point that it can be. Take control of your money and your health coverage. Have health coverage managed by you, not by the government, with Shane Ring and Cover Nash. Go to covernash.com. That's covernash.com, or 615-465-0023. 465-0023. Hello, friends. It's Matt Murphy for our friends at the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center. I'm talking about Dr. Brian McLaughlin and Dr. Stephen Poss. The Tennessee Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center has two locations to serve you. One is in the Brentwood area, the other in Murfreesboro. And at both of those locations, you'll get the same excellent service that I received in terms of solving your sleep problems, your energy issues, and getting you a better night's sleep through addressing your sleep apnea. If you snore, gentlemen, the possibility exists, or ladies, the possibility exists that you have sleep apnea. Do you know? Well, a sleep test will let you know. And if you do have sleep apnea, the last thing you want to do is resign yourself to a CPAP machine when you perhaps do not need it. The Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center offers you an FDA-approved oral appliance that goes in your mouth. It holds the jaw forward very gently throughout the course of your sleep, and you breathe better throughout the night. The airway is always open. That causes you to snore less and breathe throughout the course of the night. You never stop breathing, meaning you have more energy levels when you wake in the morning. What about that? Friends, they are also a community care provider to the VA, helping veterans live and sleep better, and they're in-network for most insurance in the state of Tennessee. Go to TennesseeSleep.com for more info. That's TennesseeSleep.com for the Sleep Apnea and TMJ Solution Center.
Doge has effectively shut down a rent assistance program in Nashville. We'll tell you about that and more coming up at 3:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Well, sadly, Doge is not shutting down much else, I'll tell you that, because Doge is not going to be codified for the most part in any of this big, beautiful bill. It's 1,100 pages. Nobody has read it. Nobody has read it. And I just don't know what these people are doing anymore. We have a Republican majority in the House of Representatives. We have a Republican majority in the Senate. We do not have a conservative majority in either body, in either chamber. I do not consider myself a conservative or a Republican, certainly. I'm not a member of the Republican Party. I would not be a member of any party that would have me as a member. I consider myself a libertarian, and I am a more hardline approach on most of this. I do not believe – let me give you an example. We do not need to spend $25 billion on some golden dome that is unnecessary to our immediate security needs until such time as we have our budget under control. Period. End of sentence. Why are we doing that? As a matter of fact, I don't think that the military should be a sacred cow either. Nor should Medicaid, nor should Medicare, nor should Social Security. Why do we make the four things that we overspend the vast majority of our money on the sacred cows and suggest you can't cut from those programs? Those programs are broken too. Until someone has the intestinal fortitude, dare I say, the cojones, to stand up and tell the American people these things, and Donald Trump won't even do it, and I'm going to go after him. He won't even stand before the American people and say, guys, the Social Security system is broke. Oh, no, we're not going to touch Social Security. I got a lot more to say about this. But I have to step aside for Ken Weaver in the newsroom. He's gathering headlines, has them gathered, and will deliver them post-haste on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in our nation's capital, the Department of Justice announced today it's ending the civil rights investigation into the Memphis Police Department and retracting any findings of alleged violations the Biden administration claimed it found. All of this came months after the beating death of Tyree Nichols. Justice Department also preparing to dismiss lawsuits against Minneapolis and Louisville over the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, claiming local communities should be making policing decisions, not federal anti-police bureaucrats, potentially imposing hundreds of millions of dollars in compliance costs on police departments. Here in Nashville, the Metro Council Budget and Finance Committee says DOJ has pulled federal funding that effectively shuts down Nashville's eviction protection program that helps eligible Nashvillians pay their rent. Channel 4 says the committee is urging families to reach out in order to get help before it shuts down at the end of next month. And here in Tennessee, one of the hardest hit areas during yesterday's storms, the Blackman Road area of Murfreesboro. McKenna Smotherman telling News 2 her dog alerted her family with frantic barking. That's when they got into their safe space, and right after that, a tree fell through the roof.
Thank God that everybody is okay and nobody got hurt, and that we were, still able to get into the house and get the dog and just, thank goodness for the dog.
And back in our nation's capital, the Defense Department has accepted that Boeing 747 luxury jet from Qatar that President Trump hopes to use as Air Force One, while Boeing continues working to modify 2 other planes for permanent presidential use. Here's Stephen Portnoy.
Chief Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell says in a statement that the DoD's acquisition of the Qatari 747 is in accordance with all federal rules and regulations. The Air Force now says it's preparing to award a contract to modify the jet to serve as a presidential aircraft. The details of that agreement, a spokesperson says, are classified.
That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. In Clarksville, TDOT reporting a crash 24 northbound near the Sango Road overpass. In Antioch, MNPD says there's an injury crash, Bell Road at Hickory Hollow Parkway. Over by Belmont, police reporting a crash 440 eastbound at Hillsborough Pike, 21st Avenue, exit 3. Woodbine, TDOT says there's a crash. Off-ramp lane is blocked, 24 westbound to I-440. Then we've got in Watkins Park. TDOT says the right lane is blocked by a single vehicle crash 40 westbound at Charlotte Avenue. And I-40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane. Police reporting a crash on the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
You know, as the old song goes, I'm so excited and I just can't hide it. I'm about to lose control and I think I like it. Lenny McGill is the reason for that excitement because of the big open house happening at the end of the month, May 31st from 10 until 2. What is up, Lenny?
Hello, Matt. How are you?
Man, I cannot be more excited about the big open house that's on the way. I'm grumpy about a lot of things that are going on in Washington, D.C., but I'm not grumpy about that open house because it is a celebration in Nashville, my friend.
Oh, you are correct. We've got all kinds of great specials going on, and we have 300,000 rounds of ammo that are on special. So if you're looking to buy ammo, come on in. But we've got giveaways all day. It's basically we've got so many vendors who have participated with us to have this open house. So we'll be giving away raffle items almost continuously. There must be 200 or 300 items we're going to give away. So almost everybody who gets there is going to win something. And we've got machine gun room set up, so you can actually rent this machine guns that we've got. It's going to be a lot of fun. And you're going to be there, too.
I'm going to be there all throughout the course of the day, loving it and absolutely excited to meet everybody in the listening audience and everybody coming out to the Glock store. And not to mention these raffles. You said 300,000 rounds of ammo that will be on display. But you're giving away Glocks, too, right?
Yeah, there's 4, I think 3 or 4 custom Glocks we're giving away, and then we're giving away some standard Glocks as well. So that's part of the raffle, but it's really fun because we get to meet a lot of the local people, and they get to meet us too. I've got a great staff. We really have some great people, and we really take this opportunity to meet and greet everybody. And we've got some speakers showing up. I know we've got the Tennessee Firearms Association going to be there and speaking, and then I believe John Rose is going to speak too, who's going to be running for governor.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a fun time, and we've got just constant giveaways, constant flow of people, lots of things to do. There's 3 or 4 shooting rooms will be set up so you can test any Glock, you can test different handguns and different custom accessories. A lot of our accessories that we manufacture right here in Nashville are going to be on sale as well. And, of course, the ammo, by the way, is made here in Murfreesboro.
That's right.
It's Burrow Bullets.
That's right.
So it's going to be, come out and support the local economy here because we've got a lot of people. Now, I'm excited because I know you're going to be there kissing babies and shaking hands.
That's right. Kissing babies, shaking hands. Lenny's there. I'm there. You need to be there as well. It's at the Glock store. Find out more at glockstore.com. Lenny McGill's big open house at the Glock store, 10 until 2, May 31st. Thank you, Lenny, and we will see you guys there. Would love to hear from you. Supertalk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. This is the Matt Murphy Radio Show until 7 o'clock. Thank you for being around on this Wednesday. We'll shift attention away from the political scene and talk about the NASCAR scene. We've got the big Cracker Barrel 400 coming up at the Nashville Super Speedway. 8 days from now? 9 days from now? June 1st, I think, is when it is. And cannot wait for that. And we will speak with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. a little bit later on today. He is in town in anticipation of the big race. And that's coming up probably, I don't think it's going to come up before 4 o'clock. So maybe about 4 o'clock this afternoon. 615-737-9986. I was going to the phones, and both of them just dropped. So no waiting for you if you want to call in. I did have 8507 right in. And I'm sorry, 2482. And say, what is your solution to our military and how we defend our homeland? And my response was our homeland is being defended just fine without a $175 billion price tag on a, quote, golden dome, to which 2482 said, LOL, that's not an answer, Matt. Be a part of the solution, not the problem. We do need a dome to defend our homeland, much like Israel does. Our system is antiquated. Is it? Who told you our system was antiquated? I thought we had the most advanced military on planet Earth. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I'm not being a smart butt when I say this. Donald Trump told us that. He has expressed that repeatedly. I do not see the direct threat to the United States of America's homeland through foreign invasion that would necessitate $175 billion being spent on a, quote, golden dome. I can disagree with Donald Trump on this and still appreciate his presidency and appreciate much of what he is doing as president of the United States of America. By the way, Donald Trump is a disruptor. Donald Trump is not a status quo guy. One of the reasons that I have voted for him 6 times now is because he is a disruptor. He's willing to upset the apple cart, and I love that about him, but he can't do it all. He cannot do the job of Congress. And Congress is where most of my ire is directed. So I don't want to get off track here. However, in answer to your question, the Golden Dome missile defense system was a part of an executive order signed by Donald Trump in January, where he directed the United States military, specifically, I think it was Space Force, to construct a missile defense system, which has been compared to the Iron Dome in Israel. Now, Israel is an itty-bitty, teeny-tiny country by comparison to the United States of America. It's also been compared to SDI under Reagan, Star Wars, if you will. Just yesterday, he announced that he has plans for a new space-based missile defense system called the Golden Dome that he wants to spend an initial $25 billion on in this budgetary cycle, which is intended to shield the United States of America from long-range and hypersonic missile threat. The system is inspired by Israel's Iron Dome. Donald Trump yesterday stated the project would be completed within 3 years, cost approximately $175 billion. General Michael Gutlein of the U.S. Space Force has been appointed to lead the initiative. Around $25 billion is expected to come from proposed federal spending cuts. The Congressional Budget Office has estimated that the cost of the program would be about $500 billion over the next 20 years. I need to be convinced and have not yet been convinced that there is a real and present 8167, why don't you give me a call if you don't think I'm doing my homework? OMG, dude, it's for missile defense. Do your homework. When's the last time we were attacked by a missile on American soil? Where's the missile threat on American soil? I'm just asking you to tell me where the real and direct threat is. You know where the real and direct threat is? $37 trillion in debt. OMG, dude, 8167. Do your homework. This country is not going to die because of an exterior threat from military force. We are going to die because socialists are going to be allowed to take over the federal government due to the overspending practices of this current administration and others. We will die because of overspending. We will die because we will crumble from within financially. The socialists will use our inability to rein in spending as examples of how the American system of government has failed. And they will demand government takeover of the people's resources. And I can point you to the examples of where this has happened in the past. And if you don't believe that if you believe that we're immune to it, you're wrong. Venezuela did it. Argentina almost broke because they did it. And then they got a miracle in Javier Milei. They demand a takeover of the people's resources. They fault the rich and they fault the corporations as a result of America's insolvency. When we become financially insolvent, they demand more money be spent by the federal government on programs to benefit the poorest among us, and that has to be paid for by somebody, and they will go toward the quote-unquote rich, and they will eventually run out of the money. When they run out of borrowing capacity, they will come for the money from the corporations and from the rich people, and when the corporations and the rich people, quote-unquote, fight back, those same entities will take it over, and that's when socialism begins. That is my concern. So, OMG, dude, I understand what the Golden Dome is designed to do. OMG, dude, I also understand how large the United States of America is and how much of a cost this is going to bring to the American people above and beyond that which we have already spent. So, and I don't see the real and pressing danger that exists from a military perspective. I don't understand why people are so bought into this concept right now. Except that Trump supported it, and in a knee-jerk fashion, we're not going to examine it for ourselves. We're just going to support it because he does. Maybe that's the reason. All right, 48 after the hour. Hey, figure out for me, Chris, if they want to do this now or if they want to wait until 4, because and then that's going to dictate how I handle the next couple of minutes. I hate to do that on the air, but I appreciate you there. 49 after the hour, Super Talk 99.7 WTN, Matt Murphy Show. Let's talk to Mike in Old Hickory. Hello, Mike.
How you doing, Matt?
Mike, I'm great. Thank you for your call.
Keep cleaning your teeth. Keep flossing. And I know it's going to be painful when you go to cleanings, but my mother was a hygienist for 60 years, made me floss my teeth, brush 3 times a day, and guess what? I'm 72, and I don't have a cavity.
Oh, man, Mike, good for you. Hey, Mike, hold on just a second. I got to put you on hold. I'm not going to hang up on you because I have to do this now. I'm trying to adjust on the fly based on scheduling. It is 49 after the hour. I want to hear from all of you regarding the Golden Dome, but we're going to shift our attention to some fun things happening in Nashville in the next couple of weeks. We'll do that next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, friends, it's Matt Murphy. Let's talk for a moment about IT and your security. We were talking about, physical security when it comes to the Golden Dome a moment ago. What about your IT and cyber security? Since 1998, Alpha and Omega. Michael has run Alpha and Omega like he runs his home. He wants to protect your computer systems in your small to medium-sized business. Did you know 70% of cyber attacks happen to small and medium-sized businesses? And if you're a business owner without adequate cybersecurity, you're waiting for disaster. Let's not do this. Let's prepare in advance. Let's get with Alpha and Omega. They are not new to this managed services deal. What makes them superior? You get a real person on the telephone, locally owned and managed right here in Middle Tennessee. They deliver customized solutions for you and your individual company, and they monitor 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Go to AandO.net. Get it? Alpha and Omega, AandO.net, or 615-784-0096. That's 784-0096 for Alpha and Omega.
More stories of survival during yesterday's storms in Middle Tennessee. And a fight over food leads to a stabbing in downtown Nashville. That and more coming up at 4 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My apologies to those of you on the phone who want to talk about the Golden Dome. We'll get to it. Don't you worry. We got plenty of time. 3 more hours to go after we finish up this one. But we will shift our attention. Y'all know me if you've listened to me for any length of time. If there are certain passions that go above and beyond the political world, and one of those is automobile racing, specifically NASCAR racing. And it's always a pleasure to have one of the best drivers on planet Earth in studio with us. He is Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He is the driver of the 47 Machine, and he joins us in studio not just to talk about Nashville Super Speedway coming up, but all of the racing going on in the NASCAR circuit this year. Ricky, what's going on, man?
Man, it's good to be in Nashville. We got, just a little bit of break in my week, getting ready to head back to Charlotte for the Cook 600 this weekend. But, here, went to Fort Campbell earlier this morning and got to see our guys in the Army there. And, got to do some rappelling, shoot some guns, and watch some long-range shooting. So that was really cool. And, helping promote our Cracker Barrel 400 coming up June 1st.
Love it. Absolutely love it out there at the Super Speedway. I'm a big advocate for getting the Fairgrounds Speedway back on the track. I mean, have you ever raced out at the Fairgrounds?
I have not. My dad back in the day built some guys' engines that race, like late models up there. Right. And, I was always a dirt guy growing up, so I never raced asphalt late models or anything that would have raced there. I had some people that I go-kart raced with back in the day, and I went dirt racing and they went asphalt racing, so they would run up here a lot. But no, I've never made any laps there. It's a cool looking place.
Oh, no, it's great. And look, I'm taking nothing away. I want the Super Speedway to stay there and to be there. 1.33 mile. I love it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
We need it out there.
Yeah, no question about it. So obviously the dirt boys, y'all are superior racers than the asphalt boys, right? You would agree with that?
I would say we like to think so. I don't know if that's the actual true, but we do have some great dirt racers. That's for sure. In our sport right now, and it's a lot of fun. It's it's cool to go back and still dirt race some, and, a lot of us do. And it's, we think dirt racing is what makes you the best.
Did you enjoy Bristol with dirt?
I enjoyed it, but, Bristol's my favorite, all-time racetrack. And so I like the concrete, normal Bristol. And, if I want to race dirt, I'll go race my dirt sprint car and not run our cars on dirt. But it was really cool.
I thought it was cool to see. I thought it was cool.
Really
it was
good.
A great experience.
Yeah.
But at the same time, part of for NASCAR fans, I talked to a bunch of fans in the stands. They're like, "We love it. This is great, but we lost one of the Bristol races this year,
exactly.
On asphalt.
Exactly.
So it was kind of a trade-off for them."
Yeah.
So what is it like getting behind the wheel of a car and driving 600 miles an hour? I mean, the Coca-Cola 600 is the longest race of the year. Is there any different attitude that you go into this race with?
You just take it segment by segment. So it's 100-lap segments, and just take it one at a time. And the track changes a lot. Charlotte changes a lot with temperature. Mm-hmm. When the sun's out, that darker black asphalt changes a lot. Unlike Nashville, when you go from the day to the night, it doesn't change that much because the concrete doesn't really hold a ton of temperature in it like, the asphalt does. So, for us, it's, you have to have a setup where your car is good, but then you have to know what changes you're going to need to make as you go throughout the night and the way the balance changes. So you got to take it segment by segment, make sure you stay up on the adjustments. I mean, you'll see guys that, will be fast early in the race and then all of a sudden come in, they're struggling because they didn't keep up with the track. So I like the long race. I like the challenge and the grueling 600 miles. And, to me, it's one of the cooler races that we run.
Look, I'm just a 9-time Charlotte winner on iRacing.
Okay.
That's all I am.
All right.
So
I've never won an iRacing on Charlotte.
What?
I haven't played it that much.
Well, I was about to say, you've got those fancy simulators.
Yeah.
You've got the
big simulator.
You got the next level, the $100,000. But so I don't presume to understand the cars that I watch week in and week out. But how would you describe this generation of car compared to the past generations? And it feels like it's harder. It's much harder to pass, no matter where you go.
Yeah, the reason that is, and I wouldn't say I'm sure you always have aerodynamic deficiencies when you're behind somebody. It doesn't matter which generation of car that we had. what made some generation of cars easier to pass is, when we're at Nashville on June 1st, that weekend. So Saturday when we're there practicing and qualifying, if you qualify first and the car that's in, 25th could only be 2.5 tenths, 3 tenths, from first.
Right.
Back in the day, we would come here with our old cars, first to 10th would be 3 tenths, and so the disparity in the speed of the cars, was a lot different. And so therefore, you have a car that might have a bad pit stop, lose track position, and they're able to run up through the field and pass more because their car is, 3 or 4 tenths faster than, people that they're passing. Well, now everybody's car is so close, it just makes executing a race, no mistakes, no penalties, that much more important, and catching the cautions at the right time. But it is hard to pass.
So only 2 weeks to go before the Cracker Barrel 400. I mean, is this a fun track for you running on concrete?
It is. It's a challenge. I think, one thing that you don't really worry about, like I said, was the temperature changing your track. Right. The other thing that you have issues with is, the seams when they, put together concrete is, the track is rough and it kind of bounces. And so trying to get your setup dialed in is a little bit tricky. And then Nashville is really wide. And, so sometimes it's like when you exit turn 2, you're like, man, I need to be lower, but like all of a sudden you end up out by the wall, or you don't go far enough to the wall and you're like, man, I could have got in the gas, a lot sooner. It's just a really different racetrack. And then when you get down to turn 4, it's completely opposite, where the wall comes up really fast. And so, but it is a cool track because you can run the bottom, middle, top of the racetrack, and, restarts are, crazy around there. So it is a lot of fun.
Is it tough? I mean, you're out there by yourself now with Hayek Motorsports, right? I mean, you're a one-car team. I know you have affiliation with Hendrick. We were talking about that a minute ago, but is that a lonely feeling out there?
It is very lonely feeling sometimes. We do everything that we can at Hayek Motorsports to get our our cars running well. We got some great partners with Nostr Energy Drink, Sunny D. We got Fun Pops, red, white, and blue car on the car this weekend. So. We got partners to make sure we go run well for him, but it is lonely, when it comes to the competition side, when you're trying to figure out what setups that you need to run, and you can't after practice just go ask a teammate like, hey, what did y'all do?
Right,
We'll talk to Hendrick and those guys a little bit, but they got their own teams to focus on, and so you can't expect too much out of them. But they build us great engines, and we get some support from them for sure. So there's times when it's nice, but there's times when it does feel a little lonely.
Ricky, thank you for spending a little time with us. Thank you for coming to Nashville to advance the sport, to talk about the Cracker Barrel 400. Thanks for everything you do, and thanks for giving us a little enjoyment on Sunday afternoons when we watch your race, man. We appreciate you.
We appreciate you tuning in.
All right, there's the number 47, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Root for him at the Cracker Barrel 400 June 1st. Tickets available at NashvilleSuperspeedway.com. Back in a moment after the news.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. This woman in the Blackman area of Murfreesboro telling Channel 4 she was trapped in her car by what she's convinced was a tornado during yesterday's storms.
My foot was laying down on the horn. I was laying down in a floorboard, and I was screaming. I didn't know what to do. My car was going up and down, sideways, everything hitting it. I didn't know what was going on.
Dozens of trees, poles, and wires scattered there in the Blackman area of Murfreesboro. Meanwhile, the National Weather Service confirms 3 tornadoes touched down in Middle Tennessee yesterday. There was an EF0 that started just after 5 along 101st Airborne Division Road in Clarksville. Had a path 9.5 miles long, about 100 yards wide. Caused minor tree damage, uprooted tree tops near Britton Springs Road and Norris Drive. Had a peak wind speed of 75 miles per hour. Minutes later, another tornado touched down in southern Clarksville. 3.2 miles long, 200 yards wide, knocking down trees with 85 miles per hour winds. And the final tornado confirmed in southern Cumberland County, EF1, maximum wind speeds of 105 miles per hour, just under 5 miles long. Then outside of Middle Tennessee, you had a fourth tornado. It was an EF0 touching down in Jackson with winds of 75 miles per hour that damaged some roofs. It was on the ground for just over a mile. Channel 4's Dryden Quigley here in Nashville says a fight led to a stabbing downtown.
Police say a fight broke out between two men over a McDonald's meal in the parking lot off Broadway. One was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The second man was arrested. This all happened today around 1 p.m. A team of construction workers told me that very same man had yelled at them earlier today when they were getting breakfast. So they were concerned that violence broke out so soon after.
And in our nation's capital, the Tennessean says the Department of Justice has dismissed its civil rights investigation into the Memphis Police Department and retracted findings of alleged constitutional violations that came months after the beating death of Tyree Nichols. DOJ also seeking to dismiss similar lawsuits and agreements in Louisville and Minneapolis after the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, claiming the Biden administration was trying to replace local control with anti-police bureaucrats that impose potentially hundreds of millions of dollars in compliance costs. Here's Alex Mallon.
They do not see it as a priority to engage in these consent decrees where often you have, civil rights divisions attorneys spending hundreds of hours monitoring and continuing to monitor police departments who initiate basically training in order to fix the problems that have been identified in these investigations. They think that that is kind of an unnecessary burden, that states can do that at the local levels themselves.
And the United States officially accepting a luxury jet to use as Air Force One from Qatar. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, TDOT still reporting a crash 24 northbound at the Sango Road overpass in Clarksville. Then over by Belmont, police reporting a crash 440 eastbound at Hillsboro Pike. TDOT says there's another crash blocking the off-ramp 24 westbound to I-440. Then got a crash off on the right shoulder, according to TDOT. This 40 westbound at Charlotte Avenue. 40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane, 40 westbound over by the airport. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy, and we're having just a fun day so far. It's 10 minutes after the hour. Thank you to Ken Weaver, and thank you to all of you for indulging me a little extra minute or two with Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in studio with us in anticipation of the Cracker Barrel 400. I know it's a departure from our normal conversation here, but, sometimes a departure is a welcome thing. I absolutely love NASCAR still. I still love it. I'm an old school guy. And I could talk to you about the way that it's changed that has been not necessarily for the better. But you know what? I deal with the sport that we got, not the one that I want to have. Do I wish that we had a different car? Yes. Do I wish that we had different rules? Yes. Do I wish that it was the way that it used to be? Yes. But it's not, and so we deal with what we got. And I was getting crap from a guy that runs out at the Nashville Fairgrounds. Because he was like, one of the best drivers of the planet. Ricky's only won 4 times. I was like, well, what am I supposed to call him? I mean, he's on the NASCAR circuit.
That's a pretty good driver if he's won 4 times.
I mean, and he's driving in the Premier League in America. He's one of 40 drivers that get to run around that track every week. I don't know.
I will hear him this weekend. My in-laws live only a mile away from Charlotte Motor Speedway, man.
Are you going to be there?
I might walk up there. Just walk around the folks.
But you're going to be in Charlotte.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
They live a mile away, man. And I mean, when those engines start going, it's like they're right across the street.
There's no question about it. Oh, man. When those things tune, I tell people all the time, do not tell me you don't like NASCAR until you go to a race. And I invite you, mine has always been, and I've been once to Charlotte, I've been to a few tracks. Go to Talladega Superspeedway. And when those cars rev up on the first lap, when they get back around the 2.66-mile track, and there's 40 cars going almost 200 miles an hour, you hear that noise. And if that doesn't do something in your loins, just get up, leave, and never go back to a racetrack. But if you feel the tuning fork, you're all in.
Oh, yeah, it's fun,
It's
man.
incredible. It's a lot of fun.
I don't know anything about racing, but I love it.
Well, all you need to know is that rubbing is racing. That's all you need to know.
Rubbing is racing.
I know that Tim Burchett's on the line, and he's ready to go. Congressman Tim Burchett joins us via our Zoom call, and we always appreciate Tim. He's one of the good ones, one of the few good ones up there in Washington, D.C., to give us an update on the Rules Committee and everything that's going on with the big, beautiful bill. Tim, thank you for being on with us. Good afternoon. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you for having me on. It is always a pleasure. Thank you, brother.
How long did y'all go in the Rules Committee last night?
It went from about 1 o'clock in the morning till, I don't know, maybe 7, 8, 9 o'clock this morning. The Democrats had over 500 amendments, and they wanted to debate them all. And so it went down to that. But the bill currently, just the White House meeting has concluded, I guess, in the last 30 minutes. And there's going to be a little bit of delay, I think, till we get a few things worked out. The SALT talks, which stands for state and local taxes. People like New York, New Jersey, and California, they pass all these crazy taxes for their horrible regulations and pet projects, LGBTQ museums, things like that. If they want to do it, that's fine. If they want to pay for it, that's fine. But the people of Tennessee should not have to subsidize that, which is exactly what they would be doing, because they want to take off from their income tax, their state and local taxes. And of course, Tennessee, Florida, and conservative states that are managed by Republicans don't have an income tax. But these liberal Northern and California, run by liberal Democrats at that, states run up these big tabs. So they want to pass that on to us to where we would subsidize that, and up to people making, I think, it's $500,000 a year. So it's just crazy. It's crazy. It does not encourage them to change it. Matter of fact, it enhances bad behavior. The other issue, of course, is Medicaid. The liberal media, CNN, Chuck Schumer, saying how it's going to cut people out of everything. And nothing could be further from the truth. All they want to do is to cut illegals and people that are eligible, that shouldn't be out working. If you got a healthy man or woman, they ought to get off their butts, quit watching The View, and get back to work. America should not be subsidizing them, and that's exactly what the Democrats are trying to do. And they're lying, and they're saying they're scaring people. I mean, they're saying that they're going to cut veterans off. We're going to cut single moms off. All this stuff are just lies. It's just lies, and all we're trying to do is knock the illegals off, and we're trying to get some savings in that so we can care for those people that we're trying to help.
Well, let me start there, Tim. I mean, do all of the Republicans understand that? I mean, to heck with what CNN thinks about it, and to heck with what the Democrats think about it. Are the Republicans on the same page with what you're trying to accomplish with Medicaid?
Yeah, but we're lazy and gutless, and we won't put that message out. Our leadership does a very poor job. I mean, we were terrible at messaging. And let's just be honest, they knock me for my Twitter, when I do my videos, when I walk off the floor, but now they all do it. We are so far behind, and it's about power. It's human nature. You get in your little circle, and you got your entourage, and maybe you get a Suburban or whatever, and you're in leadership, and you're just not. You don't care about the country. You do care about the country, but you're more concerned about your little circle of leadership and keeping that power and keeping the majority. And we ought to be worried about losing our dadgum country.
Amen to that. I mean, and I don't think there's any question that the biggest danger facing the United States of America, and I want to go here with this Golden Dome proposal by Trump, the biggest danger to me, to the United States of America, is $37 trillion in debt. And I understand China, and I understand some of the other entities that don't really like us very much. But yet still, there's a proposal while we're trying to cut down the debt, before we get into any real Doge cuts, before we get into any conversation about a balanced budget, our president, and I support him, and I know you do too, Tim, and maybe you support the Golden Dome proposal, and you can help me understand it. Why are we trying to spend what the Congressional Budget Office says will ultimately cost $500 billion? I don't understand where the threat is.
Okay, well, the threat lies in the unknown, of course. It's what we always do, and the war pimps at the Pentagon get rich. The Iron Dome is not, act surprised when you hear this, but it's not a missile defense system. It will be a laser type deal that's used in outer space. You'll see your Space Force employed to do this. And if it's done right, it shouldn't cost anywhere near that. But they'll spend it. And again, dadgummit, we're building aircraft carriers. And every military projectionist, every person that understands this says aircraft carriers are just, it's not World War II. The Japanese are not bombing Pearl Harbor. We're not going to roll across the Pacific in 6 to 8 months and take the world back like my father and his generation did.
Right.
It's going to be done with missiles, and you're not going to have $1 trillion worth of aircraft sitting on top of an aircraft carrier out in the middle of the ocean, and a $300,000 missile takes the whole thing out. That's what you're looking at. Or you put them in the air, and you've got 300 drones at a couple $1,000s a pop in the air, more or less making a net, and you can't get through them, and you lose your jet that way. And so the apparatus and the strategy and the technology have all changed, and we've got to quit building these weapon systems that get mothballed, and we got to quit investing in these systems that members of Congress own stock in the companies, both parties.
Do you believe that we will see something out of the House of Representatives before 4th of July?
I do. I think you're going to see some stuff finalized tonight. I don't know if we'll vote this week. I've said many times, and I've got legislation proposed, but it won't go anywhere because we're gutless again. We could have resolved this already if we started off the year with single issue spending bills. Quit with these 3,000-page bills. The only reason we do it is protect the big boys so they can stock it full of pork. and that both parties. We wink and we nod, but we know what's going on. Let's be honest about this whole thing. That's the only reason we do it this way. And President Trump would like to get it done just because he could get it all done at once. But I'm thinking more efficiently, and we could have already had it done because you'd had to stand and account for every bill. If it's a project in your district, you'd have to stand on the House floor and defend it, and we just voted up or down.
Are you comfortable that this bill, when it sees a final vote on the floor, will save the American people money? Let's just compare it to 2024. We overspent by almost, $2 trillion in 2024 when all is said and done. Are we going in the right direction with this thing? Help me out.
We are decreasing the rate of growth, but we're still growing. And when you're decreasing the rate of growth versus a budget of 24 trillion versus a budget that's approaching 36 trillion, you're spending a heck of a lot more money. And so, it's a smoke and mirrors kind of thing. Because, you're still spending more money than you were back before. If we just go back to pre-COVID spending levels, we could balance this thing out. And you can't tell me a dadgum program we've added since COVID that you can't live without.
Well, and if you're not willing to have hard conversations, and sadly, it doesn't seem like many people up there in D.C. are about things like Medicare and Social Security. I mean, Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid, and the military are the biggest expenditures outside of the interest on our national debt every single budget cycle from the federal government. And if we're not willing to have some hard conversations about those things too, I mean, we're so far away from those, I can't even have, not present company notwithstanding, Tim, I can't have conversations with conservatives in D.C. about the fact that Social Security is broken.
Yeah, well, they're gutless. And now, look, Trump came into the meeting and said, don't touch Medicaid, don't touch Medicaid. And then he said, but of course, if it's waste, abuse, fraud, cut it out. That's all. And that's all we're trying to do. That is all we're trying to do. But this bunch is so terrible. They're afraid to, these guys are afraid to go on CNN. They're afraid of their own shadows. If you're right, defend your position. And it's, I think I've gone up in people's eyes when I go on CNN to defend our position because nobody else will. Maybe I'm not the most eloquent speaker and I'm not the Phi Beta Kappa in the room, but I think it needs to be done, and we need to do a lot better job of that. And that's a fault of our leadership.
Well, if the conservatives in the Republican Party give a little to these blue state Republicans on the issue of SALT, what are they getting back in return, Tim?
They get everything.
I mean, what I'm saying is if the conservatives who really do want to cut spending, like yourself, if you allow for an increase in the SALT deductions, which apparently, according to everything I'm hearing, is going to happen in order to keep those votes from some of those blue state Republicans, then what are we getting in return as a result of that concession?
That's the problem. Therein lies the problem. And there ought to be some middle ground. So what I think you'll see tonight, though, they'll go to rules. They're going to work out all the little minor details. Everybody's going to get a little something, and then we'll pass it. I think that's what will happen. Because the conservatives, once again, are giving in, and they're the ones compromising. But Trump told us in the meeting, you see, this is our leadership has come back to this. It's not Trump, and it's not the conservatives, because Trump said, don't do SALT. We'll look at it later with legislation, but don't touch Medicaid and just cut the waste, abuse, and fraud. And we're so gutless, we can't even do that. So I suspect we're going to get a little bit on both sides. We'll get something probably out tonight, and we'll have 2 hours to read thousands of pages and vote on it in the morning, because people have to get home and judge their, pink petunia pageants in their districts. And because that's more important than saving the republic.
Well, and apparently more important than getting anywhere close to talking about a balanced budget when I know that I'm fussing at the wrong guy when I fuss at you about it.
That's all right.
But I mean, we're talking about cutting rates of growth in the federal government. When we ought to. I agree with you. Go back to 2020 levels of spending or 2019 levels of spending. Go there and say that's what we're spending, and you'd still be overspending, but at least you would get a little closer to. I mean, it has to it has to baffle the average American that we elect conservatives to cut overspending and they can't do it.
Yeah, well, we don't have the guts to do it, and it's our own fault for electing these people. And they're, the people that hate me up here are Republicans.
Well, because you call them out. Because you call them out.
Yeah, and they don't like that stuff, and I get it. But I didn't come up here to make any dadgum friends, that's for sure. And, that's why I'll never be in leadership. I'm not having a poo-poo party or anything, but it costs me. It costs me on contributions. I have to work that much harder because the contributions dwindle. The big boys don't like it. They want to keep the trains on time. They don't care what it costs, what it's going to cost us down the road. We are very, very short-minded. But like I said, we'll get a vote on something tonight, probably.
Okay.
You'll hear about it. The big, beautiful bill, I predict it will probably pass over at least by the weekend. So, and
I suppose that's something.
It could go off the rails, but I've told people it's like an NBA basketball game. Just watch the last 2 minutes. The first part of the game is just
that's a good analogy. That's a good analogy. It'll just drive you insane.
And we are in the last 2 minutes. I can assure you of that, because they're gonna come in here and they're gonna get some, and we're going to get some things. The conservatives are going to get a lot more than we did under Joe Biden, but we've got to get control of the spending at some point. Republicans have got to say enough is enough.
Tim, thank you for everything that you do. Thank you for your time today. Enjoy that PB&J. I saw you eating it earlier on social media, and we'll talk to you again soon, brother.
Yes, sir. That was lunch. Thank you, brother.
See you, man. Take care. Got to go. It's 28 after the hour on Super Talk. Folks, what's the last experience that you had at an auto repair shop? Did you smell grease and stinky old rags lying around, countertop that you wouldn't touch? Another thing that stinks, the repair shops that keep your car forever, that don't do what they say they're going to do, that don't give you the least amount of hassle and worry. Take the stink out of auto repair, European auto repair specifically, with Eurofix. Hey, it's Matt Murphy. You get a free 15-minute no-wrench inspection with Eurofix. Never any high-pressure sales tactics. At Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty and a free loaner car with every repair appointment. Never pay dealer prices. Eurofix is located in Franklin, 100 Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. Call 844-EUROFIX. That's 844-EUROFIX, or go to MyEurofix.com. MyEurofix.com, and tell them Matt Murphy sent you. There are no pills or spinal creams that will open up the spinal disc to take pressure off your nerves. You either have to have surgery or non-surgical procedures to open up that disc. Dr. Kevin Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, they understand this, and I take the non-surgical approach at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They are the experts in non-surgical spinal decompression with the state-of-the-art futuristic facility located in Mount Juliet. For me and for you, all of the latest high-tech equipment will get you feeling better. I've seen the facility, and it is absolutely amazing. And friends, right now, the cost is amazing as well because they are offering you a 47% discount in honor of the 47th President of the United States of America. Call 615-246-5009. That's 615-246-5009 or go to painisbad.com. I'm Matt Murphy. I've made the switch, and I want you to as well. The Wellness Institute of Nashville has my full seal of approval.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. GOP leadership in the U.S. House still hoping for a vote tonight on the bill to enact President Trump's tax, defense, and border priorities. Here's Tennessee 2nd District Congressman Tim Burchett telling WTN's Matt Murphy.
The White House meeting has concluded, I guess, in the last 30 minutes. And there's going to be a little bit of delay, I think, till we get a few things worked out.
Burchett not a fan of this bill. Channel 4's Jordan James says there's someone pretending to raise money for a Nashville school, someone who is not who they claim they are.
In recent weeks, neighbors in East Nashville have taken notice of a scam, which has left some of them coming out of their very own pockets. It all starts with a knock at the door, followed by a pitch. The person seen in his surveillance footage identified themselves as a student at Pearl Cone High School. He claims to be fundraising on behalf of the football team. Despite that admission, Metro Nashville Public Schools tells WSMV4 this is not an authorized school fundraiser. Neighbors suspect it's a scam since the person has been linked to raising money for a huge sports team.
Yeah, the Better Business Bureau says these types of scam are very prevalent right now. And if someone is asking for a donation without offering a product, it's probably a scam. Metro Police asking anyone who may have encountered this person to contact them. And in our nation's capital, the Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department says it's closing the investigation into alleged violations within the Memphis Police Department and retracting what the Biden administration claims it found in the months after the death of Tyree Nichols. DOJ also moving to dismiss what it says were last-minute lawsuits filed by the Biden administration after President Trump's reelection against Louisville and Minneapolis police departments over the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd. DOJ says the Biden administration wanted to replace local policing decisions with federal anti-police bureaucrats, imposing potentially hundreds of millions of dollars in compliance costs on local communities. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Clarksville, TDOT says there's a crash 24 northbound at the Sango Road overpass. At Woodbine, TDOT says there's a crash off-ramp lane block 24 westbound to I-440. Over by Belmont, police say there's a crash 440 eastbound at Hillsborough Pike 21st Avenue exit 3. On the East Bank going westbound, police reporting a crash there at Chevy Avenue. South side, got a right shoulder block 40 eastbound at Fessler's Lane. Then 40 westbound at Charlotte Avenue. TDOT says there's a crash off on the shoulder there. That's 40 westbound at Charlotte Avenue. Then by the airport, got a crash reported 40 westbound right there at exit 216A. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Friends, Savory Spice is located in Franklin, just off the square. When you go down Franklin Way, you get to the square, you see Chip there. That's the name of the guy on top of the statue on the square. And you'll see Savory Spice right next to Grace Pharmacy. Go in and smell the smells. Oh, it is a delight just to walk through the door and smell the deliciousness. Cinnamon and nutmeg, and you can, go over to the international flavors and smell some taco seed. Whatever you need, whatever you're looking for in terms of meals being prepared, whether it's something specific or you're just looking to restock, they have it at Savory Spice. They have deliciousness galore. Plus, if you don't know your way around the kitchen, they can help. They have the Spice and Easy line. Ask Holly or David about that, too, when you stop by Savory Spice. Plus, for the cook in your life, they have wonderful gift-giving ideas at Savory Spice. It's not just a spice shop. It's a gift shop. It is an everything shop when it comes to everything around the kitchen. So go in and say hello to the friends at Savory Spice. Locally owned, absolutely love that. Superior Spices, love that as well. It's Savory Spice, located in Franklin. You up your food game by upping your spice game. You up your spice game at Savory Spice. Hey, friends, never you fear. If you've got a birthday, an anniversary, a special occasion coming up, Genesis Diamonds has the diamonds for you. They have the item for you. They have the price point for you. Whether it's beautiful earrings or a pendant or perhaps a bracelet or a ring, for example, an engagement ring, you can find it at Genesis Diamonds. Always the lowest prices around. Plus, they have an incredible array of diamonds in stock. And this is important now more than ever. Because of all of the tariff talk that's been going on, there's been conversation about some jewelry companies raising their prices to compensate for the quote-unquote tariffs. At Genesis Diamonds, they have an incredible stock, and they're not raising prices on any of that inventory that's in stock right now. So all of that merchandise is an incredible value as we speak. Don't forget, Genesis is the exclusive retailer for all of the top names in bridal jewelry as well. So if you got that going on in your life, Genesis is your one-stop shop. Genesis Diamonds, 2 locations, Green Hills and Cool Springs. Be sure to tell them that Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only, the best Genesis Diamonds. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I have a couple of updates for you. Couple of updates. Update number 1. The pain remedy in my mouth is officially wearing off.
Oh, you're feeling something, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Feels good, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. You know what it feels like?
What's that?
It feels like somebody took my gums and lifted them off my teeth.
Ouch.
And then put them back down.
Yeah, that checks out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But underneath that, there's a clean feeling. You know what I mean?
Well, at least you've got that going.
At least I have that going for me, which is nice. The clean feeling does not make up for the pain. But that should make for a pretty good ending of the show. By the way, speaking of pain, in our conversation with Tim Burchett, talking about budgets and a lack of budget cuts, I don't know if you guys have been listening to Dan Mandis and Nashville's Morning News. You know, Tim's been making the rounds. We originally were going to have Tim on Monday, but then Tim was on Dan's show on Monday, so kind of spread that out. Burchett is always good for a conversation. I think it was on Chris Hand's show as well. Dan started the dadgummit counter. I don't know if y'all are aware of this.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know how many dadgummits Dan got. I don't know what the count was on Dan's show or Chris's show, but I had the official dadgummit count at 4. So
I think you may have missed one. Are you counting the dadgums as well?
Yeah, I mean,
we did through a couple of dadgums.
I mean, I think dadgum and dadgummit. Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Okay.
I thought, but maybe I did miss one.
Yeah, it just seemed like there was a few more. I wasn't counting.
I mean, certainly the floor is at 4, and maybe it goes up from there. If y'all heard more than 4, then let us know. 4326 writes in and says, "Dadgummit, that's one great congressman. He is. He's a good man, and certainly I do appreciate what he's doing in Washington D.C. Sadly, though, I mean, I'm a little bit tired of all of the. Well, my guy's a good one, but the rest of them are bums. Well, what good is that doing us? You know, and once again, I'm not faulting Tim. I don't think Tim's a bad guy. I think Tim's doing his best, but I hear that so much, and I've heard it for years. For the last 20 years, I've been listening to, well, our guy's a good guy, but the rest of them are garbage. They need to be replaced. But our guy's the man. Well, guess what? Everybody says that. Every district says that. The rate of return to Washington, D.C., by the incumbents is, I think, almost 90%. My goodness gracious. Man, Ken Weaver is on top of it over there. I hear him in there.
I'm sorry about that, boys.
No, you're fine. You're busy at it. You're hard at it. See, when I talk about Ken Weaver busy with the news, that's what I'm talking about in there.
He ain't playing around.
No, he's getting after it. I like it. Let's talk to Jim in Murfreesboro. We were discussing the Golden Dome. I'm not that big of a fan. I could be convinced, though, Jim. I could be convinced. Hey,
All right,
Jim.
can you hear me?
Yes, Jim. I can hear you fine.
All righty. Well, I just wanted to call and caution you against putting it aside too easily. I agree with you about the money. Absolutely, we all agree about the money. But I appreciate what the congressman was saying about advancing the military. You know, we don't need the aircraft carriers so much. When you look at the history of warfare, you've got the line and column of the Revolutionary War. We got rid of that with the rifle barrel, and then the cavalry charges. They got rid of that because of the machine guns and the tanks. And it was painful effects, painful lessons to learn that didn't work against those new weaponry. If we're moving to the next stage of warfare, we're talking about space. I mean, all it would take is one satellite up there with a nuke on it. I mean, right now we got a 30-minute warning if they launch ICBMs from the ground. If you put something above us, it's going to be less than 30 minutes. And it's always the advancement of warfare is to get your opponent to where they can't defend themselves. So if you're looking at the Golden Dome,
who's our opponent? Who's our opponent?
Whoever's got a satellite with a nuke.
Well, this is not I'm not being cute. We're about to spend at minimum $200 billion. Okay, $200 billion. We're $37 trillion in debt. We overspent by $2 trillion last year. It is going to destroy the United States of America. And so shouldn't we be able to identify the enemy that we're dealing with before we spend that money?
I see your point. However, the battleship Navy laughed about how effective aircraft carriers could be until the enemy showed up that we need the aircraft carrier against. I mean, advancing the military knowledge is not a bad thing. It's expensive, yes. And there may not be an opponent right now, but if you look at the way warfare is going, that is the next natural thing. Now, like the congressman was saying, maybe we shouldn't make so many aircraft carriers because they're just like new police cruisers that are cruising the waterways, international waterways. While it's effective and necessary, it's probably not going to be. It's not going to be what we're going to be using in the next war. And
I don't disagree with that, by the way. I don't disagree with that whatsoever.
Yeah, and I get you though. I don't like the cost of stuff either. Remember when Reagan presented the Star Wars thing, when they showed the plan, I mean they had large buildings shooting like hockey pucks and huge lasers, and it was so far out of the realm of possibility for us that I believe it never could have happened at that point in time. But if we see a threat that's coming, and we got to trust our leaders at some point. I trust Hegseth because he's been there. I don't think he knows everything, but I trust that he's taking some advice from folks that might know something more than we do. And while it might not be the golden dome that Trump is projecting, saying, it's going to protect us from absolutely everything, I think the movement into that sort of system would be all right.
In some way,
not so much
well,
money.
and let me explain where I'm coming at this from, and maybe it's the drugs talking. And Jim, I appreciate your call, and I appreciate all perspectives on this. And I'm not anti-military, and I'm certainly not anti-defending the United States of America. But I hear a lot from missile defense experts. I'm hearing a lot from military experts. I hear a lot from defense contractors and other individuals involved in this arena, the military-industrial complex, about how much the Golden Dome system is needed. I know Trump is all about it. I feel like listening to these people defend and justify the necessity of this system is a lot like listening to the pharmaceutical industry justify COVID-19 shots. Y'all with me? Well, but, if you need it, you need it, kind of thing. I feel as if listening to these individuals talk about the necessity of furthering our defense mechanisms in the United States of America for the possibility of some sort of future conflict is similar to listening to the asphalt manufacturers talk about the necessity to repave the roads. Well, maybe we do need to repave the roads. But I don't know that we need to get our advice from the people that are going to mostly benefit from the repaving of the roads. Because we've seen that over the last 50 years, right? And I do not believe that the United States military should be immune from criticism, nor do I believe the military, the higher-ups, not the boots on the ground, y'all know what I'm saying, when we talk about military budgets. Why should we set aside the military? I mean, is it not the military? Remember the $8,000 hammers and the $30,000 toilet seats in the Pentagon and these types of things that we heard about many years ago? That's what happens when an organization like the Department of Defense becomes immune from any sort of criticism or any sort of examination with regard to their budgetary practices. I'm asking if this is the most real and present danger that needs to be addressed, or is it a greater danger that we are overspending by $2 trillion a year? And the most conservative estimates in Washington, D.C. is that all we can hope to do is to cut into the growth. Cut into the growth. Cut into the growth. Y'all know what that means? That means, let me try to put this on paper. If we spend $100 this year, or if we spent $100 last year, and this year we spent $105, right? And we're like, well, we can't continue to spend this much money. We spent $5 more this year than we did last year. We only brought in $95. We brought in $95, we spent $100. And then we brought in $95 and we spent $105. We got to do something about this. And the big proposal on the table is, well, this year, let's just spend, we're projected to spend $110 based on these estimates. This is the way they're budgeting right now, right? All right, so year number one, we spent $100. We brought in 95. Year number two, we spent 105. That's 5% growth. And we brought in 95. Year three, we got to get a handle on this. So instead of, we're projected to spend 110 because our growth was 5% last year. And the growth, if it's 5% again this year, I mean, and I know that the math doesn't quite work out, but bear with me. I'm trying to keep it simple. So instead of spending 110 next year, that would be an additional 5% growth like it was this year. Let's just spend 108. 108. So you go from 100 to 105 to 108. You're still only bringing in 95. So you've grown the debt or the deficit from $5 to $10 to $13. but you're claiming a monetary savings of $2 because you cut into the growth. Now add about a gajillion zeros onto that analogy, and you understand where we are with the budgetary process. It is bad, folks. And while military should be up front and center, and our commitment to our elderly with Social Security and Medicare should be up front and center, and Medicaid, proper use of Medicaid should be up front and center, these should not be sacrosanct programs, sacred cows that are above examination. And I don't think it's in any way anti-American or anti-Trump to suggest that now's not the time for a $200 billion military defense system. Rich and Mike and all of you on the phone lines, we'll get to you momentarily. I got to get back on track here. So says Chris Webber. It's the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You guys listening to that promo? Been running for a couple of days. You know, when Bell there says that for $1,000 he'll leave, I'll go in. I'll pay $700 of the $1,000. If y'all chip the other $300 in, let's see this boy put his money where his mouth is. What do y'all think? Grace Point Healthcare certainly puts their money where their mouth is when it comes to the direct pay primary care provider that they are. Grace Point Healthcare wants to make sure that you understand what you're paying for your medical care. I absolutely love the way they do their business model. I loved it from the moment I sat down with Dr. Rob and the rest of his team at Grace Point Healthcare. Here's the deal. In a direct pay environment, you know what you're paying. It's been a long time criticism of mine that we don't know what we pay for when we go into the doctor's office. Oh, you know what your copay is, but you don't know what you're paying. Well, at Grace Point Healthcare, you do. And now, obviously, you can go to your insurance company and apply for reimbursement after the fact. But the bottom line is this. When you know what you pay, you're going to pay less. With the basic Smart Care plan, it is $69 a month. They tell you this up front. $69 a month, and you get unlimited office visits with that Smart Care plan, plus free basic labs and diagnostics. At Grace Point, there aren't any long wait times. They don't believe in them. They believe in getting you in when you are sick, not 2 weeks from now. Secondarily, they treat the whole body with a comprehensive medical approach, meaning they're not beholden to the pharmaceutical companies either. I absolutely love it. 599-6868. That's 599-6868. You can afford exceptional medicine at your convenience in Franklin at Grace Point Healthcare. Grace Point Healthcare, modern medicine delivered the old-fashioned way.
Someone's going around Nashville pretending to be someone they aren't, trying to get your hard-earned dollar. We'll tell you about it at 5 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I had someone send me, speaking of your hard-earned dollars, I will not name the brand new Lower Broadway bar that that this receipt came from, but they're charging $18 for a shot of Screwball.
What?
Whoa.
Peanut butter vodka or peanut butter whiskey.
Man, that better be some good stuff.
And there was a $55 on this bill that I saw. And once again, I'm not naming any names. I wouldn't name any names. What's Jelly Roll's place called?
Jelly Roll's place.
I thought it was Good Night Nashville, something like that.
Yeah, it might be.
Anyway, I don't know why that came to my mind. I'm not naming any names, but there was like a $55 service fee on top of the $19 shots or $18 shots of.
Would they drink it for you too?
I don't get it.
Man,
I don't get it.
So a $75 shot, basically.
Well, yeah, I mean, they had a bunch of other stuff on this tab. The tab is like 8 drinks, 9 drinks, and some mac and cheese, $19 mac and cheese. And the tab that I saw on the bill was $258.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Well, I won't name the place I went to, but I had a $20 burger that I could have made in my air fryer at home.
Y'all stay at home, folks. It's food's better out there. We got 2 more hours to go on Super Talk.
Five o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. 3 tornadoes confirmed to have touched down here in Middle Tennessee yesterday. 2 of them in Clarksville, the other one in Cumberland County. Then you had that 4th one over there in Jackson, about a 2-hour drive west of Nashville. That was an EF0. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Scam alert. Channel 4 says people in Nashville are reporting someone pretending to raise money for the Pearl Cone High School football team, but that person is not who they say they are. Metro School says there's not any type of fundraiser like that. The Better Business Bureau on what you should look for.
They're not actually asking for a contribution in exchange for a product. Probably not something you want to support. Hey, do your homework. Take a step back. Again, high-pressure tactics are an immediate red flag that it's probably a scam.
Yeah, Metro Police say to report it if you have been approached by this person. In our nation's capital, President Trump's big, beautiful budget bill is, quote, on schedule, according to Speaker Mike Johnson. The top House Republican believes it'll get to the floor for a vote before Memorial Day, as promised. Meanwhile, talks continue with GOP members unsatisfied with the amount of cuts. That includes Tennessee's 2nd District Congressman Tim Burchett, who tells WTN's Matt Murphy all Republicans agree that they've got to get illegal aliens and perfectly healthy American men and women off of Medicaid.
Yeah, but we're lazy and gutless, and we won't put that message out. Our leadership does a very poor job. I mean, we were terrible at messaging. And let's just be honest, they knock me for my Twitter, when I do my videos, when I walk off the floor.
And the bill if the bill were to go to the floor right now, hardliners still haven't given it support. The Department of Justice today saying it ended the civil rights investigation into the Memphis Police Department and retracted alleged violations the Biden administration claims it found in the months after the officer-involved beating death of Tyree Nichols. Department of Justice also starting the process of dismissing lawsuits against Louisville and Minneapolis after the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, claiming the Biden administration wanted to replace local policing decisions with federal anti-police bureaucrats, imposing potentially hundreds of millions of dollars in compliance costs. And President Trump took issue today with a reporter from NBC trying to ask about the U.S. accepting the luxury Boeing 747 from Qatar right after President Trump tried to show evidence of genocide in South Africa.
And you're a disgrace. No more questions. Go ahead, talk about that. His name is Peter something. He's a terrible reporter. Quiet.
Chief Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell says in a statement that the Department of Defense's acquisition of the Qatari 747 is in accordance with all federal rules and regulations. The Air Force says it's now preparing to award a contract to modify the jet to serve as a presidential aircraft. Details of that agreement will remain classified. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. The Gulch. Police say we got a crash Broadway and 12th Avenue. Then 40 eastbound at Charlotte Avenue. And 65 southbound after Harding Place. 24 northbound at the Sango Road overpass in Clarksville. 24 westbound at Chevy Avenue. That's going to be the westbound east loop. 40 westbound after the airport, exit 216A. 440 eastbound at Hillsborough Pike, then 65 northbound at Briley Parkway, Ellington Parkway in Madison, and Antioch, 24 westbound at Harding Place. And in Wilson County, a crash reported by the Highway Patrol, 40 eastbound at Linwood Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
By the way, the Justice Department has opened up a criminal investigation into Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of the state of New York, after congressional inquiry led to a recommendation that he be charged for lying over his handling of COVID-19 in the pandemic, particularly the issue involving nursing homes. Remember when Cuomo, as governor, sent old people back to the nursing homes to die? I mean, he put them into a petri dish where there was already a problem and just allowed them to die there. Really, the only people that were at risk are those who had pre-existing health conditions, our elderly, our very youngest among us. And sadly, they lumped all of us into the same groups and did not protect those groups during COVID-19 that needed maximum protection. It's a sad reality, but a reality nonetheless. In the meantime, Matt Murphy and you until 7 o'clock tonight, 615-737-9986, 615-737-9986, 8 minutes after the hour. Speaker Mike Johnson is saying, after our conversation with Congressman Tim Burchett, he is now saying that he is moving ahead with a tax bill vote after the meeting with Donald Trump, suggesting that there is a room to advance legislation. I don't know that this is the 1,100-page or 1,200-page big, beautiful bill. I don't know what these people are doing anymore. And frankly, it is a depressing process by which we examine and watch moment by moment the sausage made in Washington, D.C. I do not understand what they do not understand about saving money and getting down to a balanced budget. It is an absolute travesty that after 8 years of George W. Bush, and 4 full years of Donald Trump, that Bill Clinton remains the last individual to serve as president of the United States that presided over a balanced budget. And I know that it was a House of Representatives that was dominated, or not dominated, but led by Republicans at that time, specifically Newt Gingrich and the Speaker of the House and the contract with America. A tragedy, nonetheless, that it's not been done since then. Yet still, we talk about spending more money on things like the Golden Dome, which, once again, I'm not against protecting the homeland, obviously. I need to see the real and present danger before I don't understand this mentality of, oh, we want to protect ourselves, let's just sign off on a $200 billion bill because the president of the United States says he wants it. Well, folks, are we at a point where I can't remind you that Donald Trump overspent before COVID too? Our president of the United States of America, number 45, he did not save us money. He overspent pre-COVID. And then obviously there was about a $3 billion of expenditure into 2020, his last year of his presidency, that was a result of COVID-19 measures, which largely turned out to be, it was a Chinese virus that was created in a Wuhan laboratory, and we know all that by now. But we're moving forward with this bill, and I'd love to converse with you about it, 615-737-9986. In the meantime, Donald Trump hosted the South African president. Can I tell you that I don't know what this guy's name is? Maybe I should feel embarrassed by that. I bet Ken Weaver knows what the South African president's name is.
Stand by, Brother Murphy.
Weaver absolutely 100% knows, but he's going to make us all wait for just for a second while he clears his throat and gives us this name pronounced correctly.
Cyril Ramaphosa.
The South African president,
Cyril Ramaphosa,
was in the White House today. But Ken, will you please be ready to say that name anytime it comes up during the telling of this story, because I'll never get it. South African president,
Cyril Ramaphosa.
I got him recorded now, so we can just play it back. Take the pressure off.
I hope he's right.
Man, oh, man. Let me tell you something. Donald Trump was pulling up receipts today when he had
Cyril Ramaphosa
in the White House. The South African president wanted to try to tell us that there was no white genocide going on in South Africa. But Donald Trump looked him right in the face and said, hey,
Cyril Ramaphosa,
I ain't buying it. And I got the receipts. He pointed at him right in the face and said, listen,
Cyril Ramaphosa.
Why don't you look at this?
There's nothing this parliament can do. With or without you, people are going to occupy land. Will require no permission from you.
By the way, I should describe this to you. We don't have that fancy little box that hand plays when you're watching on the TV, because we talk to you folks on the radio. But I can describe it to you. This is in the White House, and Donald Trump has wheeled in a television. Because you see, the Trump administration, they must have heard previously that the South African president,
Cyril Ramaphosa.
How does that make me giggle every time I hear it? I mean, it's so well done. The old South African president, whose name is
Cyril Ramaphosa,
was probably going to try to deny that there was white genocide going on, and the president of the United States and his staff was ready for this denial as they wheeled in a television and played video and audio of the very language that the South African president,
Cyril Ramaphosa,
wanted to tell us was not happening. Here's how that sounded.
Without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the...
Now, right now, as we speak, the South African president,
Cyril Ramaphosa,
was kind of looking back at Trump like, are we really doing this right now? And Trump was like, no, watch on the. He gestured, no, you need to watch this. You need to watch on the screen.
We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. Yeah. South Africa occupy land. That's who we are. We don't ever want to do. Can we withdraw our membership from this useless parliament?
By the way, in this video that we're watching, there's a guy yelling and screaming about we'll occupy the land, that we want to occupy the land. You know who's listening to that speech from South Africa? The South African president,
Cyril Ramaphosa.
Not only was he listening in the White House, he's on the video listening as that speech occurred, where the guy is saying, we're going to occupy the land and we're going to kill the white people.
To kill and revolution demand that at some point there must be killing because
at some point there must be killing, he says. Now he's talking about the white farmers. Now, it seems to me that the same people. Now, let's just back this up and get down there to where the goats can graze on it. So where even someone like the South African president,
Cyril Ramaphosa,
can understand this. So the same people that had no problem with 8 or so million illegal aliens coming into the United States of America unfettered, unvetted, unknown who these folks were. The same people who had zero problem with this during the Biden administration, they're going to lecture us about Donald Trump choosing to give some 50 or 60 families refugee status as a result of the declaration that they must die in South Africa. Now, these people own land that eventually has been seized from them by the South Africans and by their government as a result of what they consider to be colonial practices back in the day that stole the land from the quote-unquote rightful land holders. I don't pretend to know enough about that situation to understand what ought to be done and what ought not to be done. I know this, that those people were not responsible for what happened 50 and 60 and 80 and 90 years ago. Those individuals are not responsible for the actions of those that lived before them. The South African government has decided that they're going to seize that property from these individuals, and that's not enough for some of them. Many of them are suggesting that they must die. Well, they are in fear for their life. They have applied for refugee status. What is refugee status for? Now, I'm on the record. By the way, if we instituted Matt Murphy Plan A in January of this year, they would not be eligible to come to this country because I wanted to stop all immigration practices for the entire year. And that would include anyone that would apply for refugee status. You can consider that cold-hearted if you want. That was just my goal. My plan was to stop all of this, to get a handle on the illegal aliens that were already here, and we cannot do that while we continue to see an influx of illegal aliens coming into the country still, or even legal refugees. Just put a moratorium on all of it. But Donald Trump, right there in the White House, said, no, you're not going to sit here in the United States of America and lie to the American people, Mr. South African president,
Cyril Ramaphosa.
He sat there and tried to deny that there was genocide going on, and Donald Trump pulled up the receipts right in front of him, the videos right in front of him, and played it for him. In the meantime, the mainstream media, these jerks in the mainstream press, like at NBC and whatnot, they continue to insist that Donald Trump, without evidence, is suggesting that there's white genocide, and he played the evidence in the White House. He shows the evidence in the White House and they're saying, well, that didn't represent the South African president. What's his name again?
Cyril Ramaphosa.
That didn't represent the South African president. That wasn't the South African. It represented political factions that were engaging in political violence and rhetoric that would lead to actual violence against these individuals. If they were allowed to accomplish that task, these people would be dead. In the meantime, Larry's in Clarksville with a thought on the Golden Dome. Larry, thank you for your call. Thank you for your patience.
Hey, brother. Thanks for taking my call. You know I love you. And first of all, Cyril, Kardashian just needs to shut up and go home. And the only way I'm paying $75 for a shot is if it's Emily Campagno, and she better be driving me to the hotel that she's paying for in her damn Boss Mustang. But what I want to argue with you, or not argue, but
no, let's argue. Come on.
Well, I'm not going to argue. I just disagree on the Golden Dome. Matt, we have got to have a defense system that can protect us from EMPs, from not just ICBMs, but EMPs or these drones or like these damn balloons that Joe Biden let fly over and circle us. I mean, if they are able to drop an EMP, let's say just on the East Coast, and take out all that power, it's going to look like The Walking Dead.
What about a space? What I don't understand, and maybe you can help educate me, Larry. This is a laser-based space platform.
Yes, sir.
What about that would protect us from EMPs?
Because they can detect the launch, and then they can hit them before they can reach maximum cruise speed.
Wait,
and,
your suggestion is that an EMP would have to enter the United States of America on a missile?
No, it can enter on a drone, but
or on a truck.
Well, that's true too. But these systems can detect and can fire upon and can neutralize. So let's go with this, and then let's get rid of all of the illegals that are on Social Security and Medicare. Let's get rid of all of the fraud, waste, and abuse of American citizens that are abusing Medicare and welfare.
Well, I understand that the technology would protect us from ballistic missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and some of those ballistic missiles could carry electromagnetic pulses or warheads. But
yes, sir.
Once again, we have the technology available to us now to protect us from intercontinental ballistic missiles.
Well, to a degree, yes. But sadly, a lot of that went away under Barack Obama and Joe Biden.
Why can't the military find the funding elsewhere? Their military budget is robust.
Well, it is, and I think Hegseth is going to be going through that, and getting rid of a lot of that waste. But China has hypersonic missiles. We have nothing to defend ourselves from the hypersonic missiles.
You know how much the budget was? I just looked it up. You know how much the budget was in 2024?
No, not off the top of my head. No.
$1 trillion. $1 trillion.
Well, and believe me, a lot of that can be cut, and a lot of it is the damned high. I'm sorry. A lot of that is the darned high-priced brass that were Obama kisser uppers that have been sitting there sucking up pay and doing everything they could to destroy this country.
Well, look, once again, I'm not against spending good money to protect the American population from attack, whether it's cyber attack or EMP attack or actual military attack. But the budget, the military budget, and I looked it up to make sure that I thought it was about $1 trillion. It's $997 billion. It was the largest defense budget globally, and it wasn't even close. I think, according to my information here, the total global military expenditure, the U.S. spent about 40% of all military spending worldwide. That's fine. That's good. Once again, I don't question that. I question why in the world we can't redirect some of the spending that currently goes for research and development to put into this Golden Dome if it is so important that we get it done right now at a clip of $25 billion this year and a total price tag, according to Trump, of $175 billion. But according to the Congressional Budget Office, it's going to end up in the next 15 to 20 years to be more like $500 billion.
Well, and we agree on that. We agree on that, Matt. It's just, there needs to be cuts made in the Pentagon. Just like there needs to be cuts made to Boeing. It should not take 25 years to build a darn jet.
No,
for Air Force.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't take. Yeah, you're exactly right. I agree with that 100%. There are complete inefficiencies, and by the way, those contractors oftentimes, many don't know this. And Larry, thank you for the call. Thank you for the stimulating conversation. Many don't know this. Those defense contractors get our money to research and development properties. And when they research and develop those properties, you know what they then do? They then sell them to the United States government. Well, why the hell aren't we getting a discounted rate for the amount of money that we kicked in for research and development? Why should they get paid on both ends of that? Just because it's a part of the military? We're not to question that? I don't agree with that. It's 25 after the hour on Super Talk. That was Dew. That was not like DEW. It's not like Mountain Dew. That was DUE, as in due process. But you'll have to listen to all the best words to learn about that. Hey, I want you to learn about preborn and the preborn clinic philosophy. When a mother is handling an unplanned pregnancy and deciding about the future of her unborn child, it can be overwhelming for said mother. She wants to make the right choice, but sadly, society and those around her oftentimes lead her down a road that she might regret for the rest of her life. Preborn's entire ministry is to love these women, to empower these women with the choice of life. It is truly an eternal moment when they make that choice. Stephanie made that choice. She was scared and afraid and felt she didn't deserve love and support. After receiving love and support from a caring preborn clinic, she experienced her eternal moment when she met her child through ultrasound. This happens so often when a mother meets their child through a $28 ultrasound. $28 is what it would cost you for one ultrasound, and you could save a life that way, because when mama meets baby, when she sees baby in her womb, when she sees movement, she is blessed, and she has that eternal moment. What value is that? I mean, I can't put a price tag on it, but I know this. For $140, you could sponsor 5 ultrasounds and potentially save 5 babies' lives. Preborn.com/Murphy. That's preborn.com/Murphy, or simply dial pound 250 and say the keyword baby. That's pound 250 and say keyword baby. It's Preborn.
Speaker Mike Johnson vows President Trump's one big beautiful tax defense and border bill gets a vote soon. Metro Council says DOGE has effectively ended a program that helps Nashvillians avoid eviction because they can't pay rent. These stories and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. That's coming up in just a moment or two. Nincompoops in the news today. We did not do Nincompoops in the news yesterday because of weather coverage. We kind of shifted away from normal programming, I guess about an hour into the show or thereabouts, and Ken Weaver did a great job leading weather coverage. I was just here for the ride, but we focus on that when there are weather events that necessitate it. But we'll be back to Nincompoops in the news coming up in just a couple of minutes on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And then back to your telephone calls. Pam is on the road, wants to talk budgets. Ricky is in Watertown. Is Ricky the guy that said that Brian Wilson almost hit him with his truck?
I don't know. Maybe
there was a guy on. I'm not making this up, y'all. I'm not casting aspersions, as they say. But I had a guy on the super text line that said, "Hey, I got a complaint. Dude in a red Ford pickup almost ran me down in the square in Watertown today." And I think it was Brian Wilson. That was just. I'm going to find that text.
No matter where we start.
Is that me? Is that you? I don't know.
It's not me.
It's not me.
Maybe it was me. I don't know.
Not me. Not me. Not it.
I'll say this, and Brian's not in his defense. He does have quite a bit of a lead foot.
Well, I mean, you got to get to where you got to get to.
He puts the hammer down.
I mean, and look, it's up to you. You better make sure nothing's coming. You better look both ways, twice. We'll find out together. I'll try to find that super text. It's 30 after the hour. Super Talk.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now in our nation's capital, Speaker Mike Johnson vows President Trump's one big beautiful tax defense and border bill gets a vote soon.
We'll decide whether the vote will be tonight, the passage of the rule, followed by final passage on the bill, or tomorrow morning. And we're excited. I believe we are going to land this airplane.
House Republicans, including Tennessee's Tim Burchett, not fully united around that bill, with some members wanting more Medicaid cuts, others wanting less, plus the issue of local tax deductions.
We are decreasing the rate of growth, but that, we're still growing. And when you're decreasing the rate of growth versus a budget of 24 trillion versus a budget that's approaching 36 trillion, you're spending a heck of a lot more money. And so, it's a smoke and mirrors kind of thing.
It's Congressman Burchett on with WTN's Matt Murphy last hour. Department of Justice says it's ending the civil rights investigation into the Memphis Police Department and retracting any findings of violations the Biden administration claimed it found. All of this coming months after the beating death of Tyree Nichols. Justice Department also preparing to dismiss lawsuits against Minneapolis and Louisville over the deaths of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, claiming local communities should make policing decisions, not federal anti-police bureaucrats, potentially imposing hundreds of millions of dollars in compliance costs on police departments. Here in Nashville, the Metro Council Budget and Finance Committee says DOGE has pulled federal funding that effectively shuts down Nashville's Eviction Protection Program, or EPP, that helps eligible Nashvillians pay their rent. Channel 4 says the committee is urging families to reach out in order to receive help before it shuts down at the end of next month. And heavy rain predicted for the nation's heartland and parts of the South this Memorial Day weekend. Melissa Griffin.
6 straight days of severe weather we've been tracking, and it's not over yet. Up to a half a foot of rain right through the holiday weekend. If you have those outdoor plans this holiday weekend, from Texas up through Missouri, right back through Kentucky and Tennessee, make sure to bring that umbrella.
Not going to rain on me. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. All right, police reporting a crash in the Gulch, Broadway and 12th. Brentwood, police reporting Concord Road and Nolensville Pike, and also Brentwood, Old Hickory Boulevard at Valley View Road, Seven Springs Way. Let's see, 65 southbound near Belmont, got a crash there at Wedgwood Avenue, according to police. And then Highway Patrol reporting a crash in Wilson County, Tucker's Crossroads, 40 eastbound at Linwood Road. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Safe House. You know, Safe House has more safes than, well, anybody. Anybody. I mean, if you've been to Nashville Safe House, if you've walked through their incredible showroom, you've seen with your own eyes. And you only see about a third of their total inventory when you walk through the showroom. They have about 200 safes on the showroom floor and another almost 400 safes elsewhere in their warehouses. Why? Because they, one, want to make sure that they have the safe in stock for you. They don't want you to wait on that. Number two, they simply want to be the largest and best safe dealer, not just in Nashville, but throughout the state of Tennessee and throughout the Southeast. They've got names like Browning, Fort Knox, Champion, Superior, Rhino. They have every shape or size. They have the right one for you, no waiting, and they can deliver it to your home with a professional delivery crew. Thank you to Nashville Safe House. They do not offer third-party delivery. They wouldn't do that to you. They would not allow somebody that they don't know and have not vetted into your home with your safe and your safe's combination, for goodness sake. It's Nashville Safe House. You have to go to see it. They are incredible at what they do. They also have vault doors. They have tornado shelters. Let's get to Nashville Safe House online at NashvilleSafeHouse.com or on the road, 4th Avenue South across from City Cemetery. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to Nashville Safe House. Man, this might become my nincompoops in the news.
I got me one.
Brian Wilson might be my nincompoop in the news.
Oh.
I will share it with you momentarily and let the audience decide. All right, friends, we'll get back to you. A lot of you are very angry at me about my position on the Golden Dome. I'm not against it. I'm questioning how we are trying to do both things. I mean, I don't believe. Here's where I'm at on it real quick, and then we'll get to nincompoops and back to your calls. Pam, you hang in there. Ricky, you too. So I don't believe that we are serious about the national debt. I don't believe people are serious about the deficit because the people that claim to be serious about the deficit are quick to jump on my ass when I suggest that maybe we shouldn't be spending $250 billion on new military spending in addition to the $1 trillion annually that we're currently spending in the military when we are $37 trillion in debt. And, people say, you're just being naive, Murphy. You just don't understand the threat. Well, tell me what the threat is. Convince me. I'm willing to listen. Convince me what this grand threat is that I don't see. You're telling me that we don't have missile defense systems that can handle hypersonics from China? And by the way, the idea that China would attack their wallet, China is not going to militarily attack the wallet. We are their wallet right now. Now, they might down the road if they feel like we have been weakened economically. China is going to get into us economically. That is their entire premise. They want to advance their military to the point that when the time comes, if the time comes, that they're ready for that. But I do not believe that China is going to initiate that action because they're making too much money off their wallet. We're their wallet. Anyway, more on that coming up in just a moment. And yes, Sally, I understand that Ronald Reagan wanted the Star Wars program. That was to combat Russia, which was a legitimate superpower. We had an arms race going on. We do not necessarily have an arms race going on with China. We do have an economic arms race going on with China to a certain degree. Once again, my point is simple. We can debate Golden Dome, no Golden Dome. That's all well and good. People give lip service to the deficit, and they don't really care. I do. I do care, and I believe that at some point down the road, maybe not in my lifetime, but somewhere down the road, the amount of money that we owe and the amount of overspending that we're willing to engage in will destroy the United States of America long before a foreign entity. We are going to die crumbling from within, not from an exterior threat. That is my opinion. It's 42 after the hour. Time for Nincompoop. Maybe I'm the nincompoop. Maybe y'all think
Nincompoops
I'm the nincompoop. I don't know.
Well, I know that I am.
Well, I tell you what.
And I'll tell you why here in a minute.
All right. Uh-oh. I'm concerned.
Chris, get ready to record.
Is that good, huh?
Oh,
Yes.
no. I think I know. All right. Nincompoops in the news. Y'all know what the deal is. We present 3 nincompoop stories for you, and you get to vote on your favorite nincompoop story of the day. Chris Webber, Ken Weaver, Matt Murphy. I think it's official, based on the my side of the story fella that's writing in from 1816. That I'm just going to tell the story as presented and see who the real nincompoop is. So I'll just go ahead and go first.
All righty.
All right.
Fire away.
Murphy, since you're feeling spicy today, let me air out my grievances. Your boy, Brian Wilson. I'm just reading this as written, as we try to do.
When was this sent? Today?
It was sent today at 4:12 in the p.m.
All right.
And he followed up about 10 minutes ago. Murph, since you're feeling spicy today, let me air out my grievances. Your boy, Brian Wilson, almost mowed me over with his truck as I was walking across the street in Watertown Square today. Think he'd sign my cast if he ramped up on my leg. I don't even know what that means. My side, and then he has followed up now. He says, my side of the story. I started walking across the street well before he got to me, thinking, well, surely he's going to yield to the pedestrian. Halfway across the street, I realized I needed to boogie. Because it did not look like he was going to slow down. I know it was him. I know it was him. I'm a big fan, and I know what my friend and radio buddy looks like. Wilson is being accused of.
Here we go.
I'm taking no sides in this story.
Lie. It's a damn lie. It didn't happen.
Wilson says that 1816 is a damn liar.
I don't know. I was downtown today for a quick meeting, but I don't remember nearly running somebody down.
Oh, Brian, you know how these folks get. They get crazy over there in Watertown. They probably, it was probably some other fella in a red radio flyer, and he just thought it was you. So assumed it was you.
I mean, come on. How does he know it was me? Other than the fact that I have a vanity license plate, that probably gave me away.
Don't help Brian. Dang, Brian, you were doing well. Don't help his case.
I don't know. I don't think I ran anybody down or came close. But if I did, I offer my deep apologies.
Well, I should note that in the two messages that we received from our good friend 1816, there are several laughy face emojis and smiley face emojis. So I don't think he's that concerned with it. I think maybe he might be overstating his side of the case.
Yeah, I have a feeling. I think I've been slandered. I've been libeled.
Yes, sir.
Well, you got to include Ken Weaver and Chris Webber in the lawsuit, Brian. I mean, you know how it goes. Just
we'll make it a
class
class
action. They were willing to throw me
action.
under the bus, weren't they? Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Well, hey, by the way, while you're here, I'm excited for Dan Mandis that he gets to go on a little cruise, a Disney cruise, as we're calling it, maliciously,
Right.
and that you are going to be on Nashville's Morning News all week next week.
Yes, I mean, not Memorial Day, but the day after Memorial Day and the rest of that week I'm filling in on the mornings, which means that I agreed to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. What the heck was I thinking?
Exactly.
I don't know.
But no, I will be filling in.
Well, we look forward to that, brother, and your good name has been cleared on this radio show as far as I'm concerned.
I think I've been besmirched.
Somebody cast aspersions is what they did.
I'm going to be filing a lawsuit. Is what I'm going to be doing.
Well, keep them straight over there in Watertown, brother.
All right, we'll do.
All right, there's Brian Wilson offering a spirited defense. 1816 says it wasn't him. If there was somebody running you down in Watertown Square, you need to look elsewhere.
Unless you got proof, it wasn't me.
Unless you saw my personalized license plate that says your farm, it wasn't me. It was not me. All right, Chris Webber, your nincompoop.
All right, my turn. Mine comes from St. Louis, Missouri. A man is facing multiple charges after police say he stole multiple items, including a shotgun and ammunition, from the St. Louis Police headquarters. According to documents, 25-year-old Alexander Johnston he stole from the police headquarters on Olive Boulevard back on April 21st. He was seen running under the parking gate in the department's parking garage and pulling on door handles of the cars parked inside. The document said that he then found and stole a police outer carrier vest with multiple police department patches on it before accessing the SWAT bunker. He then loaded up 2 duffel bags with multiple items, including a Remington shotgun, a starter pistol, ammunition, and an item described in documents as a grenade launcher.
Oh, yeah.
A police spokesperson said that the device is a Penn Arms 6-cylinder pump-action 40-millimeter multi-launcher, which the department uses for less lethal uses like bean bags or ball pellets. According to these documents, security video from the house showed Johnston carrying items into a home. When police searched that home, they found the shotgun, ammo, starter pistol, and a police vest. Johnston was arrested at an acquaintance's home. The acquaintance told police that Johnston said he was on the run after stealing items from the police department. In all, he was charged with first-degree burglary, stealing a firearm, explosive weapon, or ammonium nitrate, stealing a Class A misdemeanor, stealing of $750 or more, unlawful possession of a firearm, unlawful possession, transport, manufacture, repair, or sale of an illegal weapon. He was ordered to be held without bond. And as of Wednesday, April 29th, so a week later, St. Louis police said all of the stolen items had been recovered and were back in their possession, including that multi-launcher.
I think I can do a better multi-launcher impersonation, right?
Do it.
Foomp.
There you go.
You got to have a foomp.
Got to have that on
Yeah.
the end of it. Yeah.
I'd be afraid of those ball pellets.
It wouldn't be fun. I mean, it'd be better than the alternative.
What'd you say? You had a SWAT room? A SWAT bunker?
The SWAT bunker.
Goodness.
Man, oh man. If you got a SWAT bunker, I just encourage you to examine how you're living your life.
This was the police department's SWAT bunker.
Well, that's true. You might be a nincompoop if you're inside of that thing. Mr. Weaver, you're nincompoop, sir.
All right, boys. So, Chris, you might want to record this.
All right.
I pride myself on getting names correct.
Oh, no.
However, I did not get names correct when it comes to the South African president. It is Cyril, but the last name is not Ramaphosa.
Uh-huh.
It is Cyril Ramaphosa. The H is silent.
I know. That's the best you can do, man. I mean,
come on,
that's
man.
all right.
However, I was on the air multiple times mispronouncing the name of a head of state as Cyril Ramaphosa. It's Cyril Ramaphosa. The H is silent, apparently, in South Africa.
How Ken Weaver falls on his sword and demonstrates his humble nature is so endearing to the population. There is zero. You understand that there's now zero chance that you win nincompoops in the news today. Nobody's going to name you as a nincompoop, Weaver.
Yeah,
that's true.
I couldn't. I saw the name in here and I was like, I'm not. I wouldn't even tried it. I don't know how you do it.
We can just play this on a loop.
Ramaphosa, 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 Ramaphosa.
So there's an H in there?
Yes, sir.
Wait,
it's Ramaphosa.
So you thought the PH was an F?
I thought, yeah.
Ramaphosa.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense to me,
It
but
does to me,
Ramaphosa, 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 Ramaphosa. That's actually pretty funny.
You got a pretty mouth.
What do you require? We require you get back up in them woods.
Oh, no. We're going to get us some Ramaphosa. I don't even know what that means, and please don't ask me what it means.
Ramaphosa.
It means it's 52 minutes after the hour, and that's what we do with nincompoops in the news. Do with it what you will.
Ramaphosa.
8695 says if the South African president was naked, Weaver would have pronounced it correctly.
A naked South African president, Ramaphosa.
Showing off his Ramaphosa to everybody. Oh, friends, that's the way we play nincompoops in the news. You may vote 615-737-9986. Ricky will get to you, Pam, you as well, as we continue this fun and frivolity next. Hey, friends, U.S. Pest is simply the best when it comes to eliminating bugs and pests, not just from your home, but also from your property. Let's discuss, because now is the time where fleas and ticks become a huge problem, especially if you have children and you have pets. Those pets can bring them in, and now you got fleas and ticks inside of your house. And what do you do with that? If you don't have pest protection, well, you're kind of lost. With U.S. Pest, they'll eliminate it all. They offer that pest protection, and if you're already a customer, they'll give you a free mosquito, tick, and flea treatment with a referral to a friend, a neighbor, or a family member. You can also get a $50 credit on your account. U.S. Pest is simply the best when it comes to full-service pest control, termite protection, and crawl space service. And I invite you to comparison shop, because you'll find that there's only one that I will recommend, and that is U.S. Pest. U.S. Pest loves the United States of America, and they hate bugs. USPest.com, that's USPest.com, or 590-1260. That's 590-1260 for U.S. Pest.
More stories of survival during yesterday's storms and a fight over food that leads to a stabbing in downtown Nashville. These stories and more at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken Weaver. I am busy counting votes. 1816 writes in and says, that made my day. Thanks, guys. Also, I'm sticking with my story, so I'm voting for Murphy.
Oh, that's the guy that said Brian. He ran over him.
Guy that claims that Wilson tried to run him down in Watertown like the dog he is. Brian Wilson, for the record, continues to deny that it was him, says it wasn't him. And I have no reason to doubt Mr. Wilson, except there's been some behind-the-scenes conversation about Brian's known lead foot.
Come on, man.
I didn't name names, but for the most part, I think the nincompoop in the lead is some guy by the name of Ken Weavaposa, or is it Weavafosa? Well, I'm gonna figure out if it's pronounced Weavafosa or Weavaposa.
Cyril Ramaphosa.
Weavaposa. 8067 says, wait a minute, was Wilson driving naked? I thought you had to be naked to be on Nincompoops. No. Let's not go that far. We'll get the final tally going, get to Pam and Ricky in just a moment, tell you what the news is, get to some other matters on the Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Right now in Tennessee, this woman in the Blackman area of Murfreesboro telling Channel 4 she was trapped in her car by what she is convinced was a tornado during yesterday's storms.
My foot was laying down on the horn. I was laying down in a floorboard, and I was screaming. I didn't know what to do. My car was going up and down, sideways, everything hitting it. I didn't know what was going on.
Well, the National Weather Service has confirmed 3 tornadoes touched down yesterday in Middle Tennessee, 2 in Clarksville, 1 in Cumberland County. Meanwhile, the National Weather Service confirming those 3 tornadoes. The first was that EFO that started just after 5 along 101st Airborne Division Road in Clarksville. Had a path of 9.5 miles long, about 100 yards wide, caused minor tree damage, uprooted tree tops near Britton Springs Road, Norris Drive, and had peak wind speed of 75 miles per hour. Minutes later, the National Weather Service confirming another tornado in southern Clarksville, 3.2 miles long, 200-yard wide path, knocking down trees with 85-mile-per-hour winds. And that Cumberland County tornado in EF1 had maximum wind speed of 105 miles per hour, just under 5 miles long. And then you had a fourth one, but about 130 miles west of Nashville, that EF0 tornado touching down in Jackson. Winds of 75 miles per hour that damaged some roofs. It was on the ground for just over a mile. Channel 4's Dryden Quigley says a fight led to a stabbing in downtown Nashville today.
Police say a fight broke out between 2 men over a McDonald's meal in the parking lot off Broadway. One was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. The second man was arrested. This all happened today around 1 p.m. A team of construction workers told me that very same man had yelled at them earlier today when they were getting breakfast. So they were concerned that violence broke out so soon after.
Right now in our nation's capital, the Department of Justice announcing today it is dismissing its civil rights investigation into the Memphis Police Department, and it retracted findings of alleged constitutional violations that came months after the beating death of Tyree Nichols. Department of Justice also seeking to dismiss similar lawsuits and agreements in Louisville and Minneapolis after the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, claiming the Biden administration wanted to replace local control with anti-police bureaucrats in Washington that imposed potentially hundreds of millions of dollars in compliance costs. Alex Mallon reports.
They do not see it as a priority to engage in these consent decrees where often you have, civil rights divisions attorneys spending hundreds of hours monitoring and continuing to monitor police departments who initiate basically training in order to fix the problems that have been identified in these investigations. They think that that is kind of an unnecessary burden, that states can do that at the local levels themselves.
That's the latest news, traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News. Creve Hall, police reporting a crash blocking the right lane 65 northbound before Harding Place. In Brentwood, police reporting a crash Old Hickory Boulevard at Valley View Road. Downtown, TDOT says the off-ramp is partially blocked by a crash 24 eastbound to Shelby Avenue. Also westbound on the East Bank, off-ramp partially blocked there at James Robertson Parkway by a crash. In Madison, police reporting 65 northbound before Dickerson Pike. And police reporting 24 westbound after Bell Road in Rural Hill. Hadley, police reporting a crash 40 westbound past 28th Avenue. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN, final hour of our Wednesday edition. We thank you for being around. By the way, speaking of being around, if you are out and about Friday and you happen to be anywhere near Tim's Ford Lake, you are invited to come out and see us. We'll be at Twin Creeks Marina, as we sometimes do on Fridays. Tim's Ford Lake, Twin Creeks Marina, drafts and watercrafts, our location. We would love, love, love to see you. I think I might just stay there and eat afterwards. So y'all come on out and say hello to us. We would love to see you out at Twin Creeks Marina.
I think you should do the show from a big inner tube or something out on the water.
I'll ask about that.
Yeah, and get you another one of those big goomies.
Oh man, I had me a monster goomy last time we were there, Ken Weaver. You're exactly right. I remember that. All right, two things. One, I love the fact Brian has so many listeners that absolutely love and adore him still, and we love and adore him. I love him. I know Chris and Ken feel the same way. And it's funny because they're defending Brian by defending the fact, well, this is an example. Betty writes in and says, we love our farm, but Brian drives with purpose.
Is that saying he did or didn't do it?
I don't know. I like that defense of Brian. It's, hey, there's nothing wrong with trying to get to where you're going. There are some other people that are confirming the drives with purpose theory that will go unnamed.
I like that. Drives with purpose.
I drive with purpose too.
Yeah, well, I've seen you on the road too. Yeah,
I'm a little bit insane. Yeah. I admit it.
I was cruising at a healthy speed, and you came blowing by me one day.
You know, you got to do what you got to do.
Well, you better look out for me and my little Hyundai Elantra.
Well, here's the thing. You know how they say it'll be there when you get there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Well, it might not be.
Well, I guess that's an argument to make.
Not a risk I'm willing to take, friends. And the second development that I have to announce, well, I don't have to announce it, but I'm going to. Ken?
Yes, sir.
Only because people love you, and they are making this plain as they can.
Yeah.
You have won Nincompoops in the News by naming yourself the Nincompoop in the News.
So is that a victory or not?
I was getting ready to say.
I don't know.
They're just saying that they love you so much. I got to give Weaver one vote. It's Ken Weeva-Posa for the win, they said. Renee writes in, is Ken his own nincompoop? Then Ken wins. I vote Weaver, and they spelled it W-H-E.
The H is silent.
The H is silent, just like it. Yeah.
You know what I should have done? I should have done that shirtless. Then I would have been right in line with all of my nincompoops.
Well, I mean, there are already folks that are asking about whether Brian was driving
shirtless,
naked. I know. You know what? Something tells me that I can report with confidence. No, he was most certainly not.
No,
under no circumstances. By the way, real quick, very serious story. I'll get back to your telephone calls in just a moment, but I wanna speak to this. Several of you have alerted me to the fact that there was a murder in Lewistown, Tennessee. Have you heard about this, Ken? I'm sure you have.
I saw a blurb about it.
Yeah, this is just awful. I don't understand how someone can kill someone else. I don't understand unless it is in obvious self-defense. I do not understand why somebody would take the life of another person. I particularly do not understand in our modern society why someone would take the life of someone else in the commission of a robbery at a convenience store where there are cameras. I don't get it. I guess I can maybe comprehend or conceive of a world where someone is so desperate or so out of it on drugs that they decide to rob a store. I suppose I can understand that. I don't obviously condone it, and I don't suggest that it's in any way what we should be doing in our society, but I suppose if you are strung out on drugs, if you just don't care anymore, if you're looking to score, if you're whatever. But for those people who decide to rob a convenience store or a grocery store and then kill the clerk, what do you think you're doing? And some might say, well, they're trying to eliminate eyewitnesses. The cameras are the eyewitnesses. And I would dare say that every store you go into is going to have some sort of surveillance there. That to say, none of that diagnosis and analysis takes away from the pain that the Lewisburg community is feeling. Authorities in Lewisburg have arrested a man after a robbery turned deadly at a convenience store. The Lewisburg Police Department took to social media just before 10 a.m. this morning to announce the arrest of a suspect in the robbery homicide that occurred at the Marathon at 1535 Mooresville Highway. Now, according to officials, the suspect, identified as David Hamilton, was taken into custody in Pulaski with assistance from the Pulaski Police Department and Giles County Sheriff's Office. Hamilton was reportedly charged with criminal homicide, and additional charges are pending. The gentleman that alerted me to this saw it on Facebook prior to the individual being apprehended. The man that was shot was an employee at the Marathon by the name of Parish Patel, that everyone in the community in Lewisburg knew as Prince or Little Prince. There's about a minute and 20-second video that was on the social media platform. Because this individual has been apprehended, I will not share the video because it shows someone losing their life. What I don't understand, this man comes in, he asks for a few items, it looks like. There's no sound to the video, obviously. Asks for a few items. Looks like he asks for a lottery ticket. And Prince Patel gets the lottery ticket, goes back to the cash register, is ringing it up, and as he does, the man pulls a gun, points the gun at Patel. Patel immediately goes to the register and hands him a wad of money. And the man takes the wad of money, puts it in his pocket, and then shoots him. Twice.
Good grief.
Patel crumples to the floor behind the counter. And then about 10, 15 seconds go by. And you see the man come back into frame again, lean over the counter again, and put another bullet in.
Goodness.
I don't get it.
You mean he gave him the money?
He gave him the money, Ken.
And he still killed him.
And he shot him and killed him. For no reason.
Good.
For what reason are you killing this man? You have gotten what you wanted. There was no resistance. You want to eliminate an eyewitness? How the hell do you think you're eliminating an eyewitness? There are cameras in every convenience store in the United States of America. I just don't get it. So the folks at the convenience store were offering a $10,000 reward, and good for them. They went on to say, it's with heavy hearts that we share this video. In it, our employee, Little Prince Patel, is robbed and shot 3 times by an unknown person. They've caught him. They did this morning, announced it this morning, Pulaski. Prince has sadly passed away because of the incident. The suspect at large, and they offered the reward. And then they went on to say, Prince was more than just an employee. He was a part of our family and will be dearly missed. He was a great father and a great husband. Please help us bring justice to him and his family, and I hope that justice will be served.
And they got the guy.
And they got the guy. They got him. They announced this morning. They announced it. I think WKRN. KRN announced an arrest. Lewisburg Police Department this morning around 10 o'clock announced that they had a suspect with assistance from the Pulaski Police Department. They have arrested a man identified as David Hamilton, scumbag, who has now been charged with criminal homicide. Additional charges will be pending. And if there is any belief in your soul for the death penalty, this individual deserves it.
Man.
On that unhappy note, Cameron Smith rejoins us in studio. Well, I guess joins us in studio.
That's heavy.
Yeah, it was heavy. I mean, I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't get it. And I guess we're not supposed to get it. You can't make sense of the senseless. And it just seems so senseless. We'll get into a few other matters involving D.C. I have been off my rocker today. Not only am I kind of on drugs, I'm just over it in Washington, D.C. Just over these people in Washington, D.C.
This is fair.
And I want to ask you your opinion on, and I'm getting some considerable blowback because I'm a little confused why we are suggesting that we need to, in the midst of trying to cut our budgets, spend an additional at least $200 billion on missile defense, and maybe as much as $500 billion. Did I say million? Billion dollars. And as much as, according to the CBO, $500 billion, so another $500 billion. On top of the last year's budget for the United States military, the Department of Defense was almost $1 trillion, $997 billion. And like, if this missile defense system is so necessary that we've got to do it right now, then why can't we find spending within that budget to utilize for the $25 billion that they say it's going to cost us?
Man, have I got a story for you.
I want to hear it. And I'm going to get to Pam right now, who has been holding on the line. Ricky, you hang in there as well. Y'all been holding for a long time. Pam, thank you for your patience. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, and you are not going to get any pushback on me. I'm one of the very, very few that will agree with you.
Thank you, Pam.
And coming from a background of a military family, I understand how important it is. I also know my brother was memory blessed, he was a nuclear specialist back in the day. And yes, we already do we already have systems in place. Okay. And this Golden Dome, I would liken it to a money pit, like a house that you keep putting money in, and then the roof, the contractors come by and I've got to find something else wrong. And you just keep sucking money in and nothing gets done. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen with this. And you were spot on with your question. Why do they have to get paid on both ends? That is the question right there.
Amen.
Why is it that they're having to get paid on both ends? Okay.
Yeah, we pay them, and for those who weren't listening back then, Pam, I want to reiterate it. We pay them on the front end for the R&D and for the development of the whatever it is, and then when they develop it, then we pay them for the finished product. And at very least, should we not back out the amount of money that we already fronted them for the development of whatever they're making?
Yeah, you either subtract it or you say, you know what, it worked for our agreement and good job and bye.
And we'll take that now.
Do you know where else we use that model?
What's that?
The only other place that we use the DOD appropriations model. One guess.
Oh, where?
Drug companies during COVID.
Oh, that's right.
That's right.
And and we still do, by the way.
And
We still do.
And by the way, a lot of people, and I know the three of us agree on this subject, and there are many that don't, but a lot of people that were pushing back on me, they were saying, well, you just don't understand the dangers. You don't understand the necessity. And I'm thinking, that's the same argument the pharmaceutical industry made in 2020.
Yeah. And you know what? I loved, and I don't know how old these listeners are. I truly don't, but I'm old enough, and I'm old enough to remember, you know, that the only thing, you know, there was a true enemy. There was a true, like, you know, we just never knew if we were going to be nuked or not. And I remember, like, these stupid drills that was never going to save us. Okay, when I was a kid. So I'm exactly on board with you. And I've got in this big, beautiful bill. No, it's a big blow up bill. Because it doesn't save money. Where does it save money at? Why do you have to spend more to tell me we're going to save? We're not going to save much. This thing, no. And why Tim Burchett? Why I really like him? He's not even my congressman. I mean, but most of Congress, I don't understand them because they number one, have not represented me for a very long time, no matter what state I lived in. They have not. They represented themselves. And whatever they could put in that bill, whatever they could put in this whatever bill, this law, this whatever, so they can make more money. I would like, you know what? And here's another thing too. You know, when I have a budget and I overspend, it's called Pam needs to cut back the next time. Right? We redo it because I got to have a balanced budget to be able to meet my household needs. But yet our Congress can't seem to understand that. Why? Because they don't budget their own selves in their households. Because they spend money like they're drunken sailors, whatever port they're on, because they have been getting we name that what Nancy Pelosi and some of these other yahoos, right? We didn't investigate them. No, let's investigate everybody.
All of them.
I want to know where your money is. Yeah. I want to know why supposedly you're only supposed to be making this much. You only work maybe a third of the time, but yet you somehow end up on the billionaires list.
Oh, I got a great example for you. Back in my days in Birmingham, Alabama, there was a congressional representative that was worth about, when he went into Congress, he was worth about $500,000. You know, that's fine. You own a house and maybe you got $100,000, $150,000 in the bank and investments or whatever. Worth about $500,000. 12 years later, Spencer Backus came out of the Congress and he was worth over $12 million. On a salary of $170,000 a year. And he had an apartment in Washington, D.C. the entire time. So you tell me, Pam.
He also got really lucky on some lotto tickets.
Oh, must have.
Saying.
Yeah, he must know.
He must be the luckiest. He must be the luckiest poker player ever. But yeah, I agree with you. You're not going to get any argument with me. Wow. And we have been needing a balanced budget for a long time, and I'm so sick and tired of every president coming up, including Trump, every one of them coming up. Oh, we're going to balance the budget. Really? Well, Congress yet again did not balance the budget. They haven't done anything.
Well, I do believe I will say this, Pam, and thank you so much for your call. I got to scoot to a break. I will say in Trump's defense, I think if it were up to Trump might get a lot closer to balancing the budget, but it's not up to Trump. It's up to Congress. And we have to rely on those 435 and more specifically, those 218, 219, whatever it is, Republicans, so-called conservatives. We'll get Cameron Smith's take on this in just a moment, 24 after the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, thank you, Ken Weaver. That's coming up in mere moments on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Matt Murphy. There's Cameron Smith. Hey, by the way, Cameron and Matt, it's my understanding, have dropped a new podcast, All the Best Words.
That is my understanding as well.
Well, it's been done. It drops at about 7 o'clock tonight. And I don't know what the words are because I've already forgotten them, but we had some great ones.
The best ones, in fact.
All the best ones. Yeah, that's right. That would be a good name for a podcast. I'm also, if you're watching on Super Talk TV, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, I thank you for that. You can listen on Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, our own app. You can also listen on the good old radio, 99.7 FM. One way or the other, if you're watching, Cameron's wearing his sunglasses again, and it's very intimidating.
Yeah.
Different type, different brand.
Yeah.
Look a little more...
Terminator.
I was going to say bro.
Yeah, that's fair.
Bro-ish.
Yeah, I live with a bunch of bros. It's a lot.
How's it going?
It's going, man. I mean, I've been bouncing around all over Middle Tennessee today, but I'm glad to be here. And it's always fun, particularly with the regulars. It's like Cheers, but it's the Matt Murphy show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's good to know the regulars and understand. I had a good conversation on the way over here with our friend, Representative Palmer, who told me that he wonders if you've forgotten his phone number. He was hurt.
My man, Gary.
Yeah.
I just don't want to yell at Gary, too. He's one of the good ones.
I yelled at him. I just said, so, hey, are we going to become the libs to own the libs? Is that the game plan here?
By the way, Gary Palmer, 6th Congressional District Representative out of the state of Alabama. What did he say?
He said, yeah, apparently.
And is he as frustrated as we are?
Yes, because any conservative who's a principled conservative who understands, hey, guys, if we want to cut taxes, we must cut spending. These are basic principles that aren't that complicated, is got to be frustrated by this. This is why this big, beautiful bill is in trouble, is because there's enough principled conservatives to kill it and just say, no, we're going to really cut spending. We're going to codify the DOGE stuff. We're going to at least try to move the needle a little bit.
Sadly, they don't have. So I want to ask you the question in a moment. We've got news coming up now, but my grandpa always taught me that you can either have half of something or all or nothing. Is the half of something worth this? That's the question, because we're not getting what we want.
Right.
We're not getting what we were promised. So are we getting half of what we were promised? Are we getting a quarter of what we were promised? Is there any sliver of a silver lining in this big, beautiful bill that's being debated in the halls of Congress? And by the way, from my perspective, before you say it, this is not, for me, an attack against Donald Trump. This is an attack against the congressional process that can't seem to make its way toward a conservative approach to budgeting and account for the tax cuts that the American people say that they want. The American people want a continuation of those cuts. Anyway, more on that with Cameron in just a moment. Your calls as well, 32 after the hour. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy. The Tennessee Men's Clinic is here for you, gentlemen. Now, ladies, I want you to listen up as well. If you've noticed some of the signs in your guy that perhaps he's losing a step or two, losing a bit of energy, it could be due to testosterone loss. It is a natural occurrence in men that we lose a little of our testosterone over time. Those T levels it helps us with energy levels. It helps us with gains at the gym. And yes, it helps us with intimacy, with bedroom activity. And if you've noticed that there's a little less of that going on, there might be a reason for it, and there's an easy solution for it. Go to Tennessee Men's Clinic. Gentlemen, no shame in this game. About half the guys listening to me right now will have some form of T-loss over their lifetimes. Let's get it solved with the Tennessee Men's Clinic. Go to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, TennesseeMen'sClinic.com, or call 615-208-9090, 208-9090. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. An interesting conversation regarding the Golden Dome. An interesting conversation as to what is a sacred cow in the budgetary process and what is not. I find myself rather frustrated with these so-called conservatives. I suppose that I can say that, but conservative is a difficult word to pin down and define oftentimes when we're talking about politics. I don't define myself as a conservative, so I'm sort of an outsider looking in this regard. But many of these people do, and many of them are Republicans but don't act very conservative, and it's frustrating for those who truly are that would like to see the budget go in the right direction. You know, we were talking with Tim Burchett earlier, and he was saying, I said, what's the best that we can get out of this? And he said, well, we just cut into the growth. Cut into the growth. So, and this is how I looked at that. Like, let's say you and I, we brought in $95 last year, but we spent $100. Okay? So we're in the negative $5. And this year we decide, you know, we got a lot of things going on and we just gotta we gotta borrow to do this, but we're gonna spend $105 this year. And we're only taking in 95, Cameron.
Right.
So we're growing our deficit.
Yes, we are.
Uh-huh. And so next year, we're going to spend, instead of spending, our projected growth now between 100 and 105, our projected growth is 110. Because we grew by 5% last year. So our projection on growth is 110. So I'm going to be the big man, and I'm going to announce that we're cutting because we're going to cut the projected growth, and we're only going to spend $108. So we just cut the growth by 2%. Cameron,
you follow all that, folks?
Y'all follow that? So we're still taking in 95. We spent $5 over, $10 over, $13 over, but we're going to celebrate. That's what this bill is. That's what this bill is.
Y'all remember Joe Biden crowing about the greatest deficit reduction in history?
Oh, yeah.
You know why? Because we blew money out the windows for COVID. So when we stopped handing people checks
for $2,000 or whatever,
right, we saved a lot of money.
Right.
And so Joe Biden became a real fiscal hawk.
He's also the one that celebrated all of that jobs growth, right? Same deal, right?
Right. Like we were just mainline, like never mind the fact that we had crippling inflation because of it.
Oh, sure.
Hey, it works. And this is the garbage that we should just call it. And I get it. It's easy to look at Trump and Republicans and say, we're on the same team. Let's do it. But at some point, you got to just acknowledge the reality in Washington, which is to get to 218 votes, you got to have California and New York Republicans agree with red state Republicans on anything. And we're not actually super aligned on most things.
I'm just so sick to death. They've done it for 25 years. That I've been doing talk radio, that they promise you when they're in the minority, if you just hand them the keys,
right,
they're going to do the right thing. And you hand them the keys, and they never do the right thing.
And I'm always cautious
in Congress
saying the word never. But in this context, you're absolutely right. And here's my thing. If conservatives lose one battle, okay, fine. But the idea is, well, we'll compromise this time, and then you'll compromise next time, right? And the problem is, who loses every single battle on fiscal issues? Conservatives. Every time. Because we're like, well, we can't get what we want, so we'll compromise.
Because there seem to be no ramifications for doing it this way for the politicians involved. They get to run back home and claim that if they're in conservative districts, they'll come back and they'll say, we fought the good fight, y'all. We did everything that we could do, but we can't fight those liberals, and we can't fight those liberal Republicans.
The rhinos,
we got to get less rhino, and here's the bad guys, and this is what we're going to do. But here's what we did manage to do. We did manage to get an increase on military spending, and we did manage to protect Medicaid. And, they'll throw some red meat at the folks. Well, the people in the liberal Republican districts will run back and talk about SALT and all that crap. And the liberals will just crow till the next midterm elections. And nobody pays for any of this. They're long gone, and they understand this. For those that truly get what's happening to this country from a financial standpoint, a fiscal standpoint, they know they're long gone by the time the chickens come home to roost.
Yep.
What do they care?
Yep.
They're retired or dead.
The rational basis for continuing to blow out the budget in Washington is high because you can always give out the goodies and then be done with your career by the time we have a problem. Well, you know what? Sometimes leadership is doing the right thing, and we don't have it.
If we cannot eat into the overspending, I'm talking about actual overspending.
Right.
Not eat into the growth.
Right.
Which is just garbage. I mean, and Tim Burchett said it. And I think somebody said I said Tim Burton earlier. If I did, I'm sorry. I'm tired. I had teeth cleaning today. Then I feel like I'm done discussing it because the Congress is certainly not serious about it. And sadly, the American people are not serious enough to make sure that Congress is serious about it. Why would we continue to talk about something that nobody seems to care about that much?
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the way I look at it. If you vote for this, I'm not voting for you. Like, I'll just make it real simple. And I think that sometimes there are these votes where you just got a moment that you either get to go the right way and move us in a positive trajectory, but the incrementalism here, you know what we're not incremental about? Our national debt. Like, we have so much debt that these little piddly things don't change the trajectory.
I would typically be let's get half of something rather than all of nothing.
Me too.
I'm typically that guy. But there comes a point where you have to say no more of this. And I'm tired of the excuse making. I'm tired of telling you that you don't have enough of a majority. I'm tired of telling. I mean, the entire reason that you set it up for reconciliation is so you could do it this way and you wouldn't need a Democrat or two in the Senate.
And here's the way I look at it. You know what we're not having? A vote. Because what I would do is cut the stuff, pull it way back, and say, you know what? We've got to make a material change here, and we're going to put that bill on the floor. And you know what? It's going to fail. And I'm going to look at each of the Republicans that vote against it, and then the American people get to see who it is. And we'll add stuff back in until we get where we are, but I want to see who's causing the problem, not say, well, let's get everybody on board so then we never know.
It is absurdly embarrassing that with a majority in the House, a majority in the Senate, and the presidency, that they can't present a budget before the American people that is less than last year's budget.
Right.
That is the embarrassment here. And all they can talk about is cutting into growth.
We've got $350 billion in new spending, $150 billion going to the Pentagon. So my point is, guys, why?
Why are we spending so much money? And the amount of people that listen to the show, and I'm not trying to knock you guys. I understand that some of you just have a different approach or a different position on this, but I don't understand how you can be so defensive, no pun intended, of the Department of Defense when they got $1 trillion last year. They're getting $150 billion more this year in this budgetary cycle. How can you not question that? That's a part of it.
Well, and this goes to the point of the story that I was telling you. I'll just tell it quickly. When I worked on Capitol Hill, I worked for the House Republican Policy Committee. I was the executive director, and we were in the minority. I went to House Armed Services Committee staff and said, guys, I'm looking here. There's plenty of areas where these are outdated systems. We're not using them. We're still paying for them. We're still doing this stuff. Like, why don't we just tighten some of this stuff? We can save a lot of money right off the bat. Like, we want to talk about ending waste and fraud and abuse and all that stuff. Like, this is easy. This is low-hanging fruit. And the response that I got back was no. I said, well, wait. Explain that to me. And it was, well, this is DOD money. And if we want to shift it around, we can do that. But we can't cut it. Because if you cut it, then it won't be there. And to which I said, well, wait a minute. You're telling me, I just want to hear you correctly, that if we cut wasteful spending, then we have a problem. But if we have a way to spend it, we can just move it. And that told me, hey, look, we're just not being serious about DOD spending.
So 100%. And I get it. When I was in Montgomery, Alabama, doing a show down there, some of the Democrats were still in charge with state politics back in 2001, 2002. Nancy Worley was a Democrat. She was Secretary of State in Alabama. And we found out, I got a tip that she was blowing her budget. In other words, it was August. They were getting ready for a new budgetary year, and she had bought new automobiles. She had bought new computers for her office. And so I started doing a bit of investigation and found that not only was it the Secretary of State's office, it was almost every executive department in Montgomery run by Democrats. They would look at the amount of money that they still had left for capital expenditures,
Set it on fire.
And set it on fire. And I'm like, and I'm young, I'm 27. I'm like, why are they doing this? Why aren't they giving it back to the taxpayers? And their justification was, if we don't spend all the money this year, then we won't get as much next year.
Yeah.
That's the entirety of their justification.
And all this stuff, because what they do is they say, do you not love the troops? Do you not care about Trump's immigration priorities? Do you not care about filling the good thing that you like? And then if you like the good thing, you have to fund all the bad things. And the answer, when you're in control of the House, Senate, and White House, should be, actually, we don't, guys. We can fix this, but we have to fix it. And we at some point, you got to draw a line in the sand, and that's where we got to draw it.
I get confused and Sally brings up a good point. But Sally, I think we've gotten on the proper cycle. The CR got us to the end of this fiscal year, right?
Yes, I believe so.
So at least we're talking about next year's budget, right? 25, 26.
Yeah.
October 25, right? So Sally, I think because Sally wrote in and said in 4 months, the current budget they're working on will be last year's budget.
Yeah, it ends in October. So the most recent continuing resolution, which was the one in March,
got us to this October.
The remainder of fiscal year 25, which is through September 30th, 2025.
So at least this conversation, Sally, is talking about fiscal year 26.
Yes.
But it's still not good. It's not good. On that depressing note, quick time out. We'll get to Ricky. We'll get to Patricia in a moment. 53 after the hour on Super Talk. I want you to keep efficient heating and cooling top of mind this spring into summer because of their maintenance guarantee, because of their maintenance plan, and because of the efficiency in getting to you if there's something that goes wrong with your AC system and correcting what ails that system. Bottom line is this: your system will not last forever. Your AC will not last forever. And for those large repairs or replacements, Efficient Heating and Cooling, they have financing options available for you. And they also are an Elite Pro partner with Rheem, but they don't want you to bring you to that place until it's time. And if they can give you another year out of the unit that you currently have, they're going to do that because it's ultimately saving you a lot of money. That maintenance guarantee is simple. If you get maintenance done on your AC unit, they guarantee it in the form of coming back to you in the event that something goes wrong and charging you no service fee to examine and figure out exactly what's wrong with your unit. That is the maintenance guarantee if you get maintenance done with Efficient Heating and Cooling, and it'll never cost you over $125 for a residence at Efficient. Call 615-784-4424, 784-4424, or efficienthvac.net.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
I promised Ricky we'd get to him, and we're going to. It's only about a minute, but Ricky, man, you've held for so long. I appreciate your call. I appreciate your hold. The time is yours, sir.
Did you see the interview today? I think it was on Channel 4. It could have been Channel 2. With a lady, she is the mother of the young man that got hit in the crosswalk. And she was giving Metro down the road about not having license plate readers.
Yeah, I did see that. I did see it. You know, Ricky, you've inspired me. We're out of time today, but you've inspired me to have this conversation in a full-throated way tomorrow on the show, because that woman was inspiring, because she told Freddie O'Connell what for, and he needs to be told what for, because if we had license plate readers in this town, then that person would probably already be apprehended, and I don't think they're apprehended right now. It was a hit and run. Ricky, thank you for the call. I'm sorry I have to suspend it. You held for so long. I apologize. Cameron, thank you.